Greetings, weary travelers, come, warm yourself by the fire, and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, and of course tales of Tamriel, brought to you by the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. I am your host, Arcaneer Silvershield, and we have yet another special episode with a special guest today. Joining me, starting with the man, the myth, the legend himself, as always, Lotus of Doom. How's it going, Lotus?
I'm good. It's strange. It seems like we have a very different setup to anybody on the video version this week.
We do, because we have a special returning guest, but this time we have a face to the legendary voice, one of the bards of Elder Scrolls community, Matygon himself. How's it going, Matty?
Going good. How you guys doing?
Great. It's better now that you are here, and I'm actually able to join, because last time you were here, I was not, so...
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
I missed it. I have a special talent for breaking everything whenever we have, people on that I want to chat with. the universe is holding me back, but not today.
Not today.
I'm excited to be here. And
me too.
As with everyone, I assume in the community, we are excited to see you.
Yeah.
Because this time you are not just a snow Khajiit, so what happened there?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's kick things off with that, because I'm not gonna lie, when I met you in Vegas, you were a 6'3" snow Khajiit.
I tell you, a lot of shave, a lot of Nair product, a lot of in there. It did leave some of the white though. I did leave some of the white.
Still got a little of the snow. Still got a little.
Yeah, still snow in there and stuff in there. A little bit in my beard too. You can't get it all. So. Oh gosh, well this started out about 6 or 7 months ago now, so it's been in the planning stages for a while. And it was, I don't know, it kind of hit me that one of the things that I enjoyed, well actually ever since we were together at the ESO convention in Vegas, was that I got to see you all doing your thing, and it was just it was very, to be frank, it's very comforting, when the pandemic started after that, and I still got to see you all.
Right.
And even though thank goodness, a lot of my personality over the years has come out, through, the avatar and everything and all that and stuff, I kind of wanted to, be seen to kind of give that same kind of comfort, because Lotus hasn't seen me since,
it's
Vegas.
been many years.
And he's like, that's Matty. There we go. So
exactly.
that's the guy. It's almost kind of like a reunion, in a way, with the people from there. And then for the people that like Art, that I've known for years now and stuff, for a lot of people, part of it, making it the date yesterday, it was my 3-year streaming anniversary.
Right.
And I can't believe that that's 3 years, because I wasn't a full year when I saw you guys in Vegas.
Right. Yeah, you were relative. Well, you had been around for a while, but you were still kind of newish to the streaming side of it, as opposed to being community manager for T and stuff like that. You were very involved with everything, but it wasn't the forward-facing streamer thing that you kind of grew into.
Yeah. So so it was definitely something that I'm like, I think I should go to this. It's close by. I'll go there. An hour plane ride and hang out with people. And it's not the big TwitchCon where I wasn't partner yet, and I'm I didn't feel because I know you can get to a lot of more things. If you're partner and workshop a lot of stuff and everything and make those connections. I'm just I just want to hang out with people that I've seen on there and stuff. So I really came to it as a fan. And I'm still waiting for my signed copy from Lotus from something. I don't know what it is. So, but he can make it up to me with a lobster roll.
Exactly. What we'll do is you can sign my lobster roll and I'll sign yours, and that'll just be our next PAX East picture.
There you go. Perfect. So it really started out like that. Then it started well, what's the logistics of this? What do I have to start to do now? Because when when you've got an avatar, which I was very lucky, with the avatar, I got very lucky, because my very first, and I have a little write up in my stream when people ask about it. I have my avatar was made for me by my first viewer that came in to my stream who just happened to be a professional animator. And he's like, I can make you something here. Anytime like you hear something like that or something, like anytime I say to people I'm a professional trumpet player, like, oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I played in high school. It's like 2, and everything. You're like, no. This is what I do for
this is literally what I do.
And so they also my train of thought because maybe was a joke in there. So they came into my chat and they're like, yeah, I can make this. And they started to come back with like little animations and what they could do. And like the model is a full 3, you could spin it all the way around. I'm like, wow, you're really good.
Yeah.
So he says, would you like me to continue doing this? I would say, I would love it. And then we had some logistics where we had to, I had a potato of a computer. It's still there. It's down in the floor. And so a lot of people will say, why doesn't the mouth move? And actually I got lucky with the goggles. I didn't have to worry about the eyes in there. It took a lot of processing power, to be able to have that running while I was trying to run the stream and run the, the game and everything else on there. So he says, well, if we do the mouth, something like that, it's going to take a lot to do. I'm just like, no, that's okay. And we had, he had a couple of resolutions for me. One when I got a new computer, one when I had, less in there. And it just worked. And it looked so good that people have thought it was a mask. People thought it was a face rig. It's got just enough, expressions and ear tilts and things and reactions that, that it was just enough that kept people guessing. And then the people who were bold enough to ask, even if it was bold enough to ask like in a very rude way, if they popped in, it's
on
like,
the internet? Gasp.
On the internet? What is this? And me being a teacher, I always take that extra second. I got a little bit of patience with there. When I go just like, no, it's actually this. And the best thing is when I get a reaction from those that will go like, oh, that's really cool. I'm thinking about getting into animation. I'm like, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I lucked out with that, and it was such a gift to that. But I didn't have to do any of the backgrounds and work on my lighting or work about all that other stuff that you have to worry about. Pants.
Yeah, no, pants are terrible. It's just super overrated.
I mean, if you don't stand up.
Yeah, exactly.
They're optional.
Yeah, that's true.
You're saying they're still optional. So
exactly. You just got to distract them with something else. Mine's just always like, that's when I lure Boots in so she can go over. It's like, all right, there we go. Every pay attention to the puppy. Gotta run.
I love it. So, so it started to go down that. And one of my friends and moderators in their Night of Osiris, who's really artistic and really good and knows a lot about overlays and likes researching like stream elements and stuff. We were on Streamlabs, and then we had just switched over to Stream Elements. And I'm like, well, let's make some new stuff. Let's make stuff with the reveal stream in mind. What will we put up? What will we would do for alerts? What will we do with stuff? And we started to build on that, And then I started to talk to certain people about it. And I started to talk to Gina about it, and I started to talk to Rich about it. So they've known for a while. They were, they're experts at keeping secrets.
They seem to keep one or two.
Yeah, they keep one. I don't know how they do that for years. Me keeping this for 6 months almost wrecked me. I was like, it was so hard to do. And it's like, I just want to tease you with this, and I want to tease you with that, and I just want to, and get that out there. And so I just kept on, and we said work on it and work on it and work on it, and be little things, and like. I started to watch videos. I'm like, how do you do lighting? It's like, having 2 different types of lighting in there. I actually got a real great compliment. I jumped into Zero Period Productions, our friend George.
Oh, yeah, George.
Today. And the first thing he says, your lighting was on point. You did so great with your lighting with that. I said, oh, thank you so much.
I've been waiting to mention it. Yeah, because it's like the split between the orange and blue right in that corner is just, it looks so good.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like it's like high tech. It's not. It's 2 lamps with 2 different colored things. One is faced at that wall, and luckily it's just like an angle of a storage closet, there. Yep. And it just works. And then I'm like, well, what can I add in the background? So this is one of the teases right here.
Yeah.
Was my signed lithograph from the from Elsewhere.
Yep.
That I got. And then this one, let's see, this
There
over
you go.
here.
There you
That's
go.
the thank you.
Yeah, there it is.
That's the Greymoor.
Yes, that's the Vegas
one that we got.
Yeah.
The Vegas one in there, and I think the bag was Greymoor too.
That was that was, and I was gonna say we had the sweet rolls that were in them.
Yep, that were in the bag, and
Yeah,
our
Ark
bottle
didn't get
of
that.
us.
I ate your sweet roll, Ark. You got the rest of the supplies. I
Yeah,
ate the sweet
I
roll. I
know.
didn't think that'd make the trip.
You ate the sweet roll, drank the beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that skooma,
Yeah.
sarsaparilla kind of thing. Yep, in there, and then you got to represent with my trumpet over here,
Yep.
and then of course, no self-respecting trumpet player does not have a trumpet lamp. I mean, that's kind of the big.
Oh,
deal.
I have only noticed that now.
Yeah,
That was pretty cool, actually.
So you got to have one of those, and then I got a nice little care package from Gina. She sent me that crab, the mud crab. It's actually a pretty big plushie. It's about that
mine's
big.
on my Skyrim box up there.
Oh, there it is. Yep,
Yeah,
that's the
mine's
one.
looming above me all the time. My camera's kind of weird because I had to go to my auxiliary camera. My first one was not cooperating. But if you actually are able to look at it when I'm not using my auxiliary camera, which is lower res, it's actually wearing the victory crown I got from PAX East when we did the that trivia contest.
The trivia contest. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they gave us me, Memes, and Alara. Our team won on Team Rich, and they gave us, for anybody who doesn't know, for the, now it's White Strakes Mayhem, but for the Mid-Year Mayhem event, from doing all the achievements, you get a little laurel wreath. That's what they gave us. We actually have physical versions of them. That was what the winning team got. So my mud crab actually wears it up in the corner.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, because I was looking through things, and I was just like, what kind of nerd cred stuff do I have? Do I want to put in the back? And so I'm like, I want to put trumpet nerd stuff, and I wanted to put gaming nerd stuff in the background and everything. And
that fine EP flag.
Yep. And, that was okay. That was the other thing. Gina trolled me a little bit. She said, "Well, do you want like a banner to put in the back?" I said, "That'd be great." And she says, "Well, what banner do you want?" I go, "EP," and she goes like, "Dominion." Got it.
Oh, come on. No, Gina.
Damn it, Gina.
And that was the last that she spoke of it. So I'm like, you're really not going to send...
Yeah, you're not going to send that one, are you?
I said, and actually, but I'm like, hey, Lotus, you're going to want to book me the day after the 18th. So, yeah, so it was all setting all that stuff up and getting everything going, and I said my place now looks like a little mini studio.
Yeah.
I've got like little piece of tape on my floor for where to put my camera and to put my thing, and for a lot of people that thought I might have been joking over this is the lazy boy that I play it.
I figured as much.
And people ask how I do it. Let's see if it'll come up in camera. I have a lap desk.
Yeah.
It's a little comfortable thing, and I put my mouse and keyboard on that, and that's how I game when I do all my stuff and parse.
Yeah.
Everything.
Earn Godslayer.
I mean, honestly, that looks more comfortable than like any gaming chair. So.
Right? So I think I'm still going to get the Noble Chair's back supporter. I think I'm going to get that for the chair.
The cushions. They're lovely.
Yeah. Do you have the back one, or do you just have the?
Nope, I got the.
Yep. See, that's the one I want. I said that'd be a great back support.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to say
they do sell it separately.
It was. Yeah, they just sell them separately. I liked it without, but since I'm just a little, as it's been a while, I was going to say I'm just a little shorter than you. So it's like, I like the fact that this chair is like pretty decently sized, but I tend to, because of like back issues I have, I sit like I can't slouch. So I tend to lean a decent amount. So I jam it against the edges of the chair.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I actually got one, because a lot of times I like to lean. It's actually like against this shoulder right now. So that's what I do for comfort level, where I was like, oh yeah, normally I could see not needing, but like adding that to another chair, I'm like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Like,
well, because you're a beanpole. I mean, if people don't know, so it's like you look bigger on the screen.
Yeah,
you're just like I fill up this lazy boy. You don't fill up the noble chair.
No, I do not fill up a noble chair. No. I was.
Oh my gosh and stuff. Yeah, so I mean that's what kind of did that, and so kind of decided, and so I've been kind of waiting a while, and people were saying, it's like, oh, it's so long of a wait for a High Isle coming out. I said, yeah, then I gotta wait 2 more weeks until I do my reveal thing. But yeah, it was time, and it was also things that I wanted to do with it. I jokingly did like a little sponsorship because I was making some coffee during stream.
That was funny. I enjoyed that.
Did you like that?
Starbucks one.
Yeah, I saw the clip because I had you up, but I wasn't home. So I was like, well, I got to leave this up so that I can kind of review what I missed or whatever. And I wanted to obviously be chilling in your chat for everything. But it was funny because then when I saw the clip, I was like, perfect.
Perfect. It's like, yeah. So things like that I wanted to open up to, which is not impossible for sponsorships and stuff within that, but it's makes things a little easier if you've got product things that you want to support.
It's placed, exactly. I mean, Deltia with Coke, for example. It's really easy for him to just be like, here's like a product thing. Like that's how I make revenue, so I don't have to do other things. Like and things that I enjoy. So as I've been drinking, that maple pecan is my favorite. Gosh, I'm from Vermont originally, so maple is right up my alley, and so things like that. I was just like, I could start doing it. I said, might as well go after a big gun. Go after Hey, why the hell not? Worst case scenario, they say no. Like
they say no, So you never know. So that's a whole new kind of, avenue into that. And I really kind of, and it might have been the teacher in me as well, that I like people seeing my enthusiasm for a subject, either if it's music or if it's for Elder Scrolls, or just finding out someone's day, or, seeing the reactions, even if they're funny reactions. Somebody had like a really good clip of me just with my mouth agape with, the craziness that went on stream yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to get clipped. Those things are going to get clipped.
That's just, you just get used to the fact that you're always going to look ridiculous.
Always going to have, that on there and stuff. And so, so it's kind of a new beginning, with all of that. And, so I'm excited for it.
We are too, man. We are too. I mean, it's always nice to like put a face to the voice. And the avatars, though, they do become so like in your mind familiarized with that. That's like, it's almost, you wouldn't be surprised if you actually saw that avatar in real life.
Right.
But still, like, being able to actually see you is still great.
Yeah, and it's still going to be part of my channel in like a huge way still, because it just kind of shifts. We were talking about it, how much to keep in and how much not in, because it really is a mascot, for lack of a better word now, of that, because so many people will have, different caricatures or something like that made of them or whatever. And so it's I just saw robots thinking there. Sorry, robots.
Turns out Maddie is not a 6'3" cat.
Yeah.
No, robots is kidding. Robots saw me in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. True.
I talked to robots a lot that day. Well, and actually, what's funny about it is that for the people that did get a chance to see me, there's 2 things now. A, they can now show all the pictures we took of each other that they've been so nice to keep secret.
Yep.
For the past 2 years, because that was the first thing I got some DMs about. People were just like, "Is that okay now that I put up the pictures that we took when we were in?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
And that was so lovely that everybody, for so many years were so nice that they just kept it for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also like that you had the printouts too with your Khajiit face that you would put up for it. But it's one of the things that I've always appreciated from the community to do, because both you and T have long had that, oh, this is going to be what we're going to show people. Otherwise, that's not really our thing. And like, there have actually been a couple like accidents or whatever with that. And anytime it's been brought up, I know they've been immediately taken down before like anybody's seen it, because most people still, until you revealed it, and same thing with T, people had no idea unless they've literally met you. Because people are just not being trolly assholes, because it's like, well, no, that's fine. It's a boundary thing. Like, okay, if that's what you want, totally fine. Like, you do you. It's not our job to blow up your spot. Like, that seems...
Yeah.
And I've always appreciated that from everybody that follows through with that type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, because they like that, and that was one of the things I had to kind of come to grips with. Is like, do I want to get rid of that mystery?
Yeah.
Because that is kind of
been for like, I mean, over 3 years.
3 years,
3 years, like just streaming, but before that, obviously too. So it's like that's a long time.
Yeah.
And been like there, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so great, the reaction, because you do have, I wasn't too concerned with that, but there's that little bit in your back of your brain. It's like, is anybody going to like me now if they don't know I'm a Khajiit?
A giant
is anybody going to, there is a little anxiety about that and everything, but everybody's so positive with it. It's been so great. And it's the best scenario I could ask for with anything with that. We worked hard to kind of set it up.
Yep.
And especially in this last week or so, that like you could probably kind of guess if you were, in that thing, so that it kind of set it up. And like I said, everybody's been so kind with it.
I mean, it's like, I don't think I've seen any other like community where someone who uses an avatar or like never shows their face or whatever go to a convention, take a whole bunch of photos and come out of it with their like identity still hidden
until they're ready for it. Yeah.
So that's again like one of the, I guess, special points of our community as a whole. I don't think I've seen it, because I know streamers or content creators who like do use avatars or just like use a character or whatever. They go to events all masked up and everything as well. At least the ones I follow do. And the fact that like both T and you came out of it with everyone paying attention to, and being like, what's the word? Well, basically paying attention to not revealing anything that they should not. That was a really good thing that came out of that event.
And it's a tough thing to constantly worry about too. It's that's another reason I think I did it as well. Going to conventions could be a little bit easier now. I don't have to be there thinking, okay, how am I going to pull this off again? Well, another picture, another thing, or something.
Right. I mean, originally, to be fair, it's like tall and in orange, so that was pretty easy to piece together in Vegas at least. But what would have been the irony if somebody else was wearing like an orange hoodie or something like that?
Something.
Oh no!
Well, and that was the thing. When I went to that, I'm like, how are people going to know it's really me? Nobody's ever seen me before.
Right.
So like a couple of people I sent like DMs to. It's like, this is me, by the way.
Yeah.
So you can corroborate my story.
Yes.
I think I sent it to Rich. I think I sent it to Gina.
I'm not an elaborate imposter.
I'm not an imposter trying to get into the event or something like that. Like, well, if I wear all orange and I made up like a name tag, my name is Matygon on there, kind of thing. And so, yeah.
Good times, and I'm still so jealous about not being at ESO Vegas. That's
Well, hopefully it'll become a thing.
Bethesda
again.
Game Days and ESO Vegas.
Hopefully again it will become a thing, and next time you'll be able to join us for whatever may actually.
I'm getting there. I'm getting to the point where I'll hopefully be able to like participate in an event maybe like once a year.
Sure.
So, we are getting there.
Yeah.
We are getting there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if this Gamescom thing happens, I'll at least
I'm very
meet
curious to hear.
Folks in EU. Yeah, so.
That'll give you a good gauge if that manages to come about. So, because that's something
I think
that's
we're
out
on
of my reach. So,
I think we're on the cusp of it. I think we're on that thing of getting into next year, even in the fall maybe and stuff. Well, like you just went to the PAX East one with everybody.
And, there were definitely some things that happened, obviously, that came out. Some people got sick, and there was unfortunately that one person that got very sick. But like, for the most part, it was one of those things where the calculated risk was at least with PAX East, I was shocked by the degree of attention they paid to making it as safe as possible. Which I was just like, oh wow, like that when they were saying, like in the convention, they were like, no, you need to have a mask while you're doing this, and you needed proof of vaccination and stuff like that. And they weren't kidding. Like they were not screwing around. Like when you wanted to you go to a designated eating location or you go outside. Like you do not roam. And I was like, wow, this wasn't all lip service. So like the idea seems like, okay, we just gotta do what we can with this situation to make them as safe as possible, and then people can decide, is this something I'm okay with, or not yet, I'm not good with it yet, or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. So, should we roll into news?
I guess we should probably do news stuff. I was gonna say there's been a pretty decent amount of news actually, with more news on the horizon, but we delayed the show last time because of some scheduling things, and on top of that, there was I think it's listed here last, but I figure maybe we should jump into that one first, just because it's not entirely just Elder Scrolls related, but since it's all kind of a connected, it might be worth like mentioning. Obviously, the Microsoft and Xbox showcase was last Sunday. The majority of the focus obviously being on Starfield and some on Redfall as well, which, super exciting stuff, not necessarily the focus here or whatever. We got that extra really cool trailer that came out around that time where the Ascendant Lord just beat the crap out of all of the heroes, which was a little awkward.
Such a great... it's one of those things you're just like, oh yeah, they're coming out with other... And then I'm just like, I am so amped up
so
for
good. They're so good. Yeah, I made the joke that he was clearly using the Oakensoul ring pre-nerf, because that's... he was just wrecking everybody.
Yeah.
That's the only way you are knocking out the Nord hero.
The Nord, right?
And the Nord got
that was the thing that got you. You're just like, he's like going toe to toe with the Nord, and then
dude, he is out cold. He's just gonna casually toss him off the roof until the Breton neck. I was like, oh man, that didn't go well.
You're like, whoa, this guy's drunk.
Yeah. So that was a very cool trailer. Just on the note, was there anything specifically from the showcase that you guys are super excited about? I mean, obviously they had mentioned the tidbit of High Isle type of thing where it was still coming. One thing, just because we talked about it a little in pre-show, and I know some of my friends here play on PlayStation in chat, one thing that did really kind of cut like a dagger was they were talking about like, oh, High Isle is launched on PC and coming to Xbox on the 21st, and all of us were just kind of like, we're here too. Hello, PlayStation. Like,
did they not say PlayStation?
They literally didn't even say it.
I hadn't picked that up. Man.
They just rolled right over it. It was just Xbox, and we're like, cool. Well, back to our corner. Very good. Right. I'll just continue waiting High Isle then.
Thanks. I'm just going to go now.
Appreciate you. But yeah, no, it did not seem like there was any mention of it whatsoever, even though we're getting it. We're still here. But yeah, for me, it was really just kind of the Starfield thing, which I'm not a big sci-fi person. I like Fallout or whatever, and I generally just like Bethesda games. So I am excited to see what it is when it finally drops. Because it sounds really ambitious. So, like, I'm not...
It does. I mean...
Yeah.
So the most interesting part of it for me was all the shooting aspects and everything was, to be honest, underwhelming for me because... And obviously, it's like... The game is not about shooting. It's
right.
Just
it's an RPG action game. Like, that's the thing. It's.
But they did mention. So the part that like captured me was obviously there's outpost building and everything like that. But you will build and decorate your own spaceship. So that we saw very little about it. But if they use Elder Scrolls Online's housing level of building editing in Starfield, both for outposts and decorating your spaceship, then it will be insane. Because like I enjoy, for example, the build, the like housing in Fallout 76 as well, but it is nowhere near at the same capacity for that Elder Scrolls Online is for me,
ESO's
at
is
least. So
pretty insane how
Yeah.
detailed you can get with it.
So if we see some of that in Starfield, on top of everything they've been working on, because I mean they've been working on this for such a long time,
Yes.
and I don't know, all
Yeah.
the planets, the biggest cities that they've built up until now, and stuff like that, they sound exciting, but
Yeah, I'm very, again, overhyping is how people like to do in the video game industry, players, advertising, all that stuff. But like, I'm definitely very interested in it when it comes out. But it's one of those things where a lot of times until it actually happens, including when they were like, we locked in this amazingly like memorable date, not quite as memorable as 11/11/11, but it's like 11/11/22. It's like, oh, okay, here we go again. You get your super memorable date. Even that, I was kind of like, yeah, I can't imagine they'll delay it. But I was like, until we're like right there, I'm just I it's more of like a passive. I need to look at it because I don't want to just get too involved and then be annoyed that it's delayed or whatever. And sure enough, it got delayed. So I was like, oh, well, okay, I'm glad that I'm dead. But seeing more of it, I mean, I'm going to pick it up. So, I mean, I guess that's a selling point to it. Whereas like, oh, I'm definitely eager to try it, but I'm much more curious as opposed to digging in every little nitpicky thing about it. I'm really just curious to see what they can present to me when I finally get it.
I think that's the thing with me. I'm like, I saw it and I'm like, why aren't I more excited about this right now?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I think it's you kind of touched on it too. It's just like, well, it could be more delayed, so I don't want to get my hopes up
Right.
on the date. And then I'm like, and then like when you talk about the shooting, I'm like, oh, they're shooting. Okay, there's gonna be collecting. There's this cool drill, nice. And I was saying, I'm not literally. I'm like, I was trying to
just
to digest it, and I was like, I guess I don't know exactly where we're gonna explore like 1,000 planets, and we're gonna talk to people. I just don't know what the day-to-day of it is going to be, you know, because like you could see all these really cool things, and I get inside and outside of my ship. I mean, gosh, people were complaining about the animation that every time you land, that there's going to be an animation. I'm just like, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
it was like, how is it going to feel in a day of playing? What am I going to be doing? You know, when I'm with like ESO, I kind of know what my day is going to be. I'm going to start with some red, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to battle this. I've got all these different options to go do. So what is my options in the game? And that's what I don't know yet. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be collecting all these stuff because like Ark would say, it's like, because I'm going to work on building my ship. Like even the building of the ship, you saw kind of like a component go into a component. What if there's only like 10 components that you can do per ship? That's not really robust.
Right. But it'll be like, cool, I built it once and that was fun, but now I'm
and
done
that
with
was fun, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it anymore. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm like, should be hyped up for that? Because I don't know. Or could it be, I didn't even think about it until Art just said it right now. Could it be as robust as a housing thing in there? You know? There's no juggling pumpkins, Ninja?
Oh.
Well, I'm out then.
Well, all right.
I'm out.
Unpre-order.
I'll pre-order that, you know, that in there stuff. So I'm maybe I'm just reserved excitement, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I'm curious to see what it is when it lands, but like I don't know. Again, I guess maybe I'm used to just the community. Which don't get me wrong, people like to get up in arms in the ESO community about stuff too. You know, differences of opinion. Something gets nerfed, something gets buffed. You know. We get a card game and all hell breaks loose, and then people play it and they're like, "Oh, this is really fun." It's like, weird. That's weird. It's almost like we had an episode where robots was like, people are going to end up playing this more than anything else in the game, and everybody's just going to yell about it. It seems to be the case at the moment, but it doesn't need to be for everybody or whatever.
Yeah.
But yes, some of the like, I guess just coming out of the norm of the community that I'm used to dealing with. Fallout's pretty good too with the 76 community. People who actually play it, not the people who just like to dunk on it because they try to get internet points. But it was funny because I did notice a lot of people just being like, this looks like other game. It's like, okay, well, games look like games too. Like, I mean, it's like
this looks like another RPG. Oh yeah, there's been a lot of those.
It's weird. It's almost like this isn't the first RPG. Like,
right?
And I'm like, dude, I'm not even super into defending this. It's just like that is the most attempted reductive thing I've ever heard of. Like,
Right.
I don't know. So definitely weird.
The other thing too, and actually it's funny that Ninja's here there because he said on his stream, and I agreed with him. It was, and even this is like even relation to like Elder Scrolls 6 coming out, which I'm of the mind take as much time as you want because I want it to be the best thing since sliced bread.
Also, I haven't finished with ESO yet, which actually...
Okay, you just... Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. It's like, I'm really content. My 6 is here. I'm playing it. I'm doing... I'm into High Isle now. I'm into all these things, and there's these new mechanics, and there's new stuff. I'm like... You can take your time. I'm in my lazy boy. I'm playing. I'm having, card games with my friends. I'm doing stuff and exploring, and I'm pretty comfy gaming wise. I don't, really feel like, wow, there's nothing out there for me right now. As I said, that's probably my own personal thing. But like,
I'm like
Ninja was saying,
I can understand.
I think
like,
there's other people.
If there's some aspect that ESO isn't doing for you, and it's like, oh, well, this is why I want 6. Okay, totally get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But with me, I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. I'm not over the ESO thing at the moment, so I'm kind of like, okay, well, I guess maybe that's why. Because sometimes people have been like, how are you not more annoyed that they like don't talk about this game? And I'm like, because I currently have an Elder Scrolls game. If they stop making stuff for ESO, okay, well, then I'll start looking for 6. Or if at some point I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I've had my fill of this style, because it's not exactly the same. But it's like, they keep adding stuff that I enjoy, so like whatever. But like it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, well, I'm still content with this at the moment, so I guess I'm not in a big rush to get another thing, because if I had as much time as I wanted to play ESO, I would play more ESO.
Yeah,
I would not be able to juggle ESO and Elder Scrolls 6 at the same time. Like it wouldn't happen. I'd just be like, cool, now I just have a constant anxiety at work because my hobby is just like right out of reach, and I need to do things to pay bills.
I'm like that with the addition of the card game. I'm like, okay, because there's dailies, and I'm just like, okay, I got my endeavors. I got to do. I've got to do my Rich dailies. Okay, I got to go and do my new dailies in High Isle. I've got to go and do. I got to go battle people and stuff. And then there's people who want to do it casually. I'm like, well, then there's a rank system. Right. I actually haven't. I've only played less than 15 games of the card game, where I know people have played like hundreds already.
Oh yeah, well, I'm pretty sure
I can't find the time.
Rich and Dom apparently are just dominating the leaderboard, smacking everybody down. So it's like,
yeah. Well, people are getting better. I love it. It's like that. People,
he's like, I don't like how quickly the community is improving. I'm actually losing.
Yeah, it's starting to get like competitive, and people are using. I love that they're using, because I don't know if my mind doesn't think of it this way. They use that term PvP, and I kind of like it's like, because it is PvP.
It is.
And a card game, I don't.
What people expected when they.
I don't think of it. Yeah, and it's just like I'm working on my PvP. It's like, oh, you are. It's just like, yeah, I got all these decks I got to go get and everything. I'm like,
it's like, I thought you were heading to Sejanus.
Yeah, and they're talking about like the new meta of cards and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, this is got to get balanced, and this guy get nerfed, and we're gonna raise. I'm just like, this is a whole different world now of talk.
I know.
Yeah. And don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. Don't have that sad face.
Hey,
it's coming. Tuesday.
Tuesday. I'm developing a Twitch.
I know. Tuesday. You'll get it.
I mean, you could have played the card game at least on PC, Lotus.
Yeah, you had the PC.
No, because I don't have high. I wasn't gonna buy it twice. I was gonna wait and see if I get it like down the line when they do a sale, because I'm buying it outright, obviously, on console. And then I was like, well, everybody runs a billion giveaways. I was like, and I generally don't like to enter any of them. I was like, well, maybe if everybody's giving away PC codes, we'll see if I can. But I was like, generally what I figure I'll do is I'll just wait. And it's like they run sales after, for the next expansions and stuff like that. I was like, I'll probably pick it up then just to have it on PC so I can run trials with you guys and stuff like that. But like that's the thing. But it's like I went on and I was just goofing around with some of the quality of life stuff. Like, I love the fact that the Mundus stones are in the armory. That makes me that's such a small thing that makes me so happy. I know everybody has like the extra add-ons on PC you can do, but like on console, the amount of times I go into PvP with the wrong Mundus stone, then remember at the end switch it, but then the next time I log on, somebody's like, hey, help us run this trial. So then I use that character and I'm now in the PvP Mundus Stone, but now I'm in PvE. And I was like, I'm literally just wrong all of the time because I remember after I'm done, switch it, and then the following time I'm not doing what I was doing last time. So I just have the wrong Mundus Stone all the time. It's like,
pro tip, remember to save it like you have to save other stuff, because that happened to me. I put it on, I went out, I'm just like, okay, let me switch the thing. I have 0 Mundus Stone. There's like nothing. It doesn't give you anything for the first time.
Yeah, I heard it's just like a blank slate, and then
it's just a blank slate.
Which
I'm
is
like,
fine.
oh
I mean, that
no.
makes sense. But yeah, so that's like one of the quality of life things that I was very, very pleased is incoming. So
yeah, and like I'm gonna go back to Starfield because I felt something that I'm curious whether if people felt that as well. So I love space sims. I have several hundred hours in Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen. I have flight controllers on my desk right here. And I'm really happy to see that the ships are flyable and they're not just like loading screens.
Sure.
But the thing I felt about Starfield, I was very hyped about it. And when they started showing the gameplay, I lacked something very specific that I always feel towards Bethesda games. And that's like a sort of feeling of belonging. I mean, whenever it's like for Elder Scrolls, for Fallout, for most of what Bethesda does, I feel a sense of sort of like belonging to what I see. And that's what I lacked with Starfield. And it could be because it's a whole new IP. I mean, there's nothing to feel that to yet. But whether if they are going to be able to create that sensation with Starfield that they've created with their other IPs.
They do it again?
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they have that with Doom. They have that with Fallout. They have that with Elder Scrolls. That's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm sort of anxious about Starfield. Whether if we are going to get that feeling. So
Starfield 2, you'll feel more comfortable when it comes out.
Trained in it.
Because you've been created that in there. So just wait for Starfield 2.
At that point, you'll be probably a cyborg because it'll be the year 3045. Because
I mean, in an interview to IGN, if I remember correctly, apparently they said Fallout 5 is going to come after Starfield. So people are like, okay, 2045.
Oh, yeah, when they were saying, they were like Starfield, then Elder Scrolls 6, and then there's going to be Fallout 5. And I wish I knew who it was that posted it so I could give them credit. It was on Twitter. And somebody was like, wow, what a headline. They're making Fallout 5, the game we already knew that. Like, why do you people keep making these headlines? Like, these are not It's like, congratulations, Bethesda's working on a game after they complete the game that they're working on. It's like, and people are so obsessed with the order that they make stuff in. It's weird to me. And it's just like, yes, clearly.
Because apparently everybody works on the same project.
Yes.
You know,
well, there's only Todd Howard and Pete Hines, right? That's
true.
It. It's just the two of them. They do literally everything.
Yeah.
I mean, now
I'm waiting
they have
for them
Phil
to hire
Spencer
me
as
as
well.
some backup help.
Yes, exactly.
So,
He'll be the third employee.
Third employee.
What do you call it? But the only thing
that's a major. Oh, sorry.
No.
That's a major difference. And again, we've got a fountain of knowledge, Ninja, in our chat, in there that he mentioned about that it's different teams from Fallout 76 than from Starfield. Because the first connection people were making, it was like, oh, this looks like it's going to be 76, it's going to be awful because it's like that. It's like, no. It's a whole different team. It's not the same team that was working on that. So
it's almost like there's more than one studio at some of these places.
Right? Yeah. So it's okay. Take a breath.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fine. Yeah. The only thing out of... because I know there's a lot of hype for Redfall. That does not super look like my thing, which is fine. I hope that Redfall lands really well for anybody interested in that. The only one that I was actually really kind of crossing my fingers and hoping they would talk about I was really hoping for a new Quake, personally, because that's another id property that I love. And without spoiling anything... Doom has some pretty strong nods to potentially tying into Quake, and it's been a while since there's been a Quake thing. So like I was kind of hoping for some type of Quake goodness, which we didn't get, but I was like, damn, that was like the off Elder Scrolls thing that I was kind of really, really hoping for. But we shall see if one day we manage to get more Quake, because I love Quake.
I feel like Quake at this point would be doomed to flop because it's just
It really depends.
It
what
became
they do
so
with it.
niche.
It did.
I mean, a lot of the games that are in Doom style, they just faded away.
Well,
so bringing that back is a difficult task. I don't know. It's risky.
you could be right. And their last Quake game, Quake Champions, was
that kind of flopped as well.
It didn't do well. I actually thought it was pretty fun.
It was, yeah.
But like I get it. But they leaned into the PvP aspect, which was a big thing for a long time with them. They also have the two different. This is weird because it's turning into like a Quake lore thing, which we can move on after this, anyways, and get back to Elder Scrolls stuff. But yeah, the thing with Quake is there's kind of this duality with the series. It's this weird gunplay medieval thing, or space against the Strogos, like totally not the same. Like they honestly are like two different series, and it's like the even numbered ones are this weird space version, and then the odd numbered ones are this like medieval fantasy thing, but you also have shotguns instead. So it's like bizarre. If you look at the difference between 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's, you literally would think 2 and 4 and 1 and 3 are like, those two series are just not even the same series. They have nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
And I always liked
I did not know that.
Yeah, I always liked the 1 and 3, where it's like this weird medieval thing. And that was the thing, because I won't go into it for anybody who hasn't played Doom. There are some interesting things in Doom Eternal that I was like, bruh, this is totally going to connect to Quake. And then it still hasn't. And Doom had like a hyper resurrection where Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal were like off the rails popular. So like, and that series was never not popular, but it definitely after Doom 3 had been like, the trajectory was going down. And man, they nailed it with those two games. So it was like, ooh, maybe they want to branch out and bring Quake into the thing, but yet to be seen.
I mean, I hope they do, because ever since Fortnite killed Unreal Tournament, I am salty about all shooters in the current era.
All right.
And I miss Unreal Tournament 2004.
Yes.
So if they manage to bring that, a shooter of similar feeling, which Destiny is that's why I love Destiny, because it kind of plays similar to those games in terms of like gun combat.
Yep. Yeah, the old
But
arena
still, like,
style.
I would love a classic Quake. But I don't know. I mean, I hope they do, but I don't see them doing it.
It would very much
soon.
need to be kind of the like new direction with the previous IP that makes it feel familiar but advanced that they did with Doom, which as is, if you haven't watched the No Clip documentary on Doom, how that came to be is almost mind-boggling. I'm like, what the? Like, it was basically just like them coming up with like a Hail Mary idea, and it just was like, holy shit, this is super fun. And then everybody was like, this is awesome. So it's like, man, asking the company to do that again, it's like, okay, well, that's asking for a lot of lightning to keep striking.
Remember how you guys did something 15 years ago?
Yeah, do that again.
My progression with those, like when Unreal came out and everything, I was into that, and that became my new favorite. Mm-hmm. And then because it was Unreal 2, and then that's where they stopped it, right? Because then it went to tournament after that, because they didn't do anything for a while.
Yeah. So yes, it was Unreal, and then they did. No, it was Unreal Tournament. And then Unreal Tournament 2004, and then the one you're referring to, Unreal 2, which was the single-player only game.
Right. And I liked it as a single-player only. I didn't like the tournament as much. I guess maybe because I wasn't in that PvP first,
Yeah, and those games are hyper twitchy.
Yeah, and it was a little too much for me, and I was just like, because I've over the years, I said maybe it's just a little bit my age and stuff and everything, but I'm not as much into. I used to really be into it.
Oh yeah, me too.
A lot of first-person shooters and stuff.
Yep.
And then because I had to have a first-person shooter, like a Team Fortress 2 type thing or something.
Yeah.
I have to have the isometric like Diablo type thing.
Yeah.
And then I had to have some type of RPG, like some type of like Morrowind or something like that. I had to have something like that. I always had to have one of each of those in there. And I think, Unreal, loved the storyline of the original and everything. And I think that's what drove me to it. And then when they didn't really kind of repeat that, I was
they drifted into the competitive shooter thing and away from the storyline to it. So it's like, had G Fuel existed back in the day, I'd say it was like the prime thing where it's just like, here you go, kids, snort your G Fuel and go run 2,000 matches of Unreal Tournament.
Right? And I was just like, and I think when they first came out of there, or maybe it was just the early phase that they had one map, and I was like, that was kind of boring.
Yep.
So I was like, so that kind of drew me away from it. So that kind of drew me away, and then like the Diablo stuff and everything, a little bit into 3, but then that kind of drove me away a little bit and everything. And
you and I had a lengthy discussion when all the Blizzard stuff happened. I was like, man, I am not pleased. I was like, and again, I was like, look, I'm not going to tell people what they, how you do and don't support what you think, and it's like that doesn't necessarily say. But I was like, for me personally, I was like, I can't. I gotta peace out, and that's why I'm glad that things are seeming to be improving under Microsoft overall. There, I do know that it's hardly fixed over at Blizzard Activision. Not from a monetary side, because actually the only thing I will say, which I always joke that I tend to try to be like relatively positive, that Diablo Immortal dumpster fire, that can that can go straight to hell, which is a shame because the design of it looks like a Diablo game. I've just never seen such offensive. Like, it is hard to offend me with monetary things. I'm like, this is offensively bad. Like, what is happening?
I watched someone on Twitch play it for a little bit, and I was just like, this looks amazing.
Yes.
This was a mobile game. I didn't know a lot about it.
Right.
And I was
full
like, this
credit
is
to the game designers.
Did that, and just like that, and then I found out, through watching, other, pretty famous content creators about like the monetization of it. You can spend up to like $20,000 and everything. And I was like, oh my word!
And apparently, it takes like $110,000.
Yeah, that was a little
for the possibility of maxing out everything for a single character on a single server.
So that's and that's the thing. I'm always like, I'm not going to tell other people how to spend their money. Man, we are. I hope everybody's enjoying all the other games for a Tales episode. This is. There was literally the company showcase. So like this is a little bit of a weird episode.
But also shows how much like we love the way that things are run, for our game. It's not perfect,
but what is? And like in terms of that, because I've always said it about any of the monetization in Elder Scrolls to bring it to that. It's like they give you every opportunity to spend money that you can think of, and that's fine as long as the game functions in my eyes without needing to do any of that crap. Can I? Now, I don't like when they try, like, ESO is not quite as bad, like, because again, this is more of like the Diablo thing where it's like, I don't care for when they try to trick people into spending money. Like, I don't care if you want to sell all sorts of stuff. It was the same thing I had with Blades. When Elder Scrolls Blades came out, I didn't spend anything. And I was like, I want to be able to beat this game. Everybody says this game is hyper pay to win or whatever. And when it came out, it had some pretty questionable things. I was like, ew, gross. And then they took them out of the store. And I was like, okay, better. But I still played through, and there's ways to buy things that totally can streamline shit. And it's like, okay, whatever. But I go through and I beat the game, and I was like, cool. Like, I beat it. I didn't have to spend money. Like, it didn't bother me personally. I understand if that's not your thing, go for it or whatever. But the, what do you call it? A lot of these games, it's like, I don't mind the option for you to spend crap, but like, I also want I want it to literally be an option. And I was kind of indifferent to the Diablo Immortal thing at first until they're like, oh no, there's all these calculations in the code. Because again, I watch people like analyzing how this, and they're like, no, you literally can't do this unless you buy this, but it's marred by there's 4 steps to get there. So you won't notice that you can't physically get this upgrade until I'm like, nope, I'm out. That's crap. Like that is not like, that is completely unreasonable. Whereas in ESO, I tell everybody, like, yeah, ESO Plus is great. You get that craft bag. You have access to, they give you a stipend in-game money that you can use on whatever you want. You get access to all the DLC, and I just don't mind inventory management, so I just don't bother. But it doesn't mean that I'm like against it. It's just okay, whatever. Yeah. I don't personally. And as long as it stays like that, I'm fine. Diablo Immortal, not so much in the category there.
Let's just say that my new computer that I got last year has never had a launcher from Blizzard on it. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah. Which hurts me because I love Blizzard.
Yeah. Oh, I love, God, those games. Such a part of,
yes.
From the StarCraft to the Warcraft to the everything. I mean, the history of it, but it's, yeah.
I am in the lucky crowd that never was a fan of Blizzard games.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I never played StarCraft. I never played World of Warcraft. I played Overwatch because my friends were playing it, and then I quit. And then Diablo, I only played Diablo 3 and finished the story once because I played it from a friend's account.
Sure. So like,
yeah. I don't know. Their style never appealed to me for whatever the hell reason.
I mean, like, Ninja actually brought up the Activision thing where like they did an internal audit of themselves and we're like, yep, seems like everything's good. It's like, I see. So the person who's being blamed is like, nope, seems like I don't see. Okay, like this is the type of thing where like, I feel like Microsoft has needed to literally just get out a ruler and keep slapping them. And they're like, no, bad, no. And it's like, I'm waiting for the point where the monetization's one thing. The moral reprehensibility is really just personally what bothers me. And, to each their own on how you want to talk about that stuff. It's whatever. I'm not telling you how to live your life. Me, I'm like, nah, this makes me feel gross. I don't want anything to do with this. Yeah. This is just gross. But I'm hoping that things continue to improve because, like, I was saying, like, I love Diablo. Like, it's a series that I super love. And everybody always sees, like, the Elder Scrolls stuff and the Fallout stuff I've got. And it's funny because nobody ever sees it because I have to literally reach forward, which is where a camera is. And I actually have, like, before all this, I've got the Diablo 3 skull. And you pull out the soul gem, and it's a USB. It's from the original collector's version of Diablo 3.
No way!
Like, I love this series. So, like, it pains me that the company, I'm just like, oh, guys, like, what are you doing?
Oh, and you would always, like, and because I think that's the thing, is that at that base, at the player level, it was such a connection. It connected me to my brother because he played it. I'm like, what is this game? And got me into it. I mean, if you talk to anybody, you go, stay a while and listen.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh my gosh, you played that too,
or
and
that
everything.
One strum of the guitar when you enter Tristram.
Yes, you hear in my head as soon as you said it. It's like, oh my god, yeah. So it's that's the tough part. That's the tough part.
And the other thing though, like, but we can move on after this. Probably, but like, the thing is, like, again, I don't expect this stuff to change overnight because I know that's not how life works, but like I was really happy to see the unionization of I believe it was the QA testers and stuff like that. And it's like little victories, good. Like, so it's just like, there was that thing about the creation of Fallout 76 where like there was a lot of problems related to the surprise of literally no one, I assume. Fallout 76's development was a nightmare as well. It's like there's always room for these companies to improve. So being honored enough to talk to people in the industry, I always like kind of getting their opinions because otherwise it's me looking in and trying to form my thoughts based on what I can just see. when somebody can kind of explain their side of it, where it's like, no, I actually like working here because I know people who've worked at Activision and they've been like, my situation actually wasn't that bad, but they were like, I'm not denying that other parts were terrible for people, like clearly. And you know, it's one of those things you should just always want things to be better for people because there's no downside to that. Like, yeah. So that's just it. And it's just like, you have to make the own personal decision what you're fine with. Because again, from this side of it, this is supposed to be a hobby and fun, and like people need to have some type of release here. A lot of people's choice is video games. Well, then it gets weird when it's like, oh yeah, my hobby also makes me feel terrible because of this horrible thing that's being done to people. So it's just like, it's a web of kind of just, sometimes it's probably good to just take a minute and just be like, okay, I need to get myself as grounded as I can because it's hard to fight every battle all the time, but you never really need to feel bad. If something makes you feel gross and you're not okay with it, then peace out from it. It can be super irritating. It still hurts me that I haven't bought the Diablo 2 Resurrected thing just because I'm not ready to support them yet. Because I was like, yeah, keep improving, and I'll be happy to give you my money again when I feel comfortable with that things are getting better. And fingers crossed they keep getting better. Yeah.
It's, man, corporation level stuff is
I know.
It's like evil incarnate. Like, the more you look into it and the more things you see and the more things are unearthed, it's like, how can people go so low? But yeah.
Yep.
So I guess that's the recap for
yeah. So there's that. That shit got dark at the end.
That got dark a little bit.
A little bit.
That's the thing, though. Like, the entire Xbox Bethesda showcase, we didn't really have anything Elder Scrolls related.
There really
so
was not,
only
because it was
obvious
high isle hype, right?
Yeah. And so yeah, that was our, I guess, general gaming world recap for this episode with a little bit of comparison to Elder Scrolls. So news-wise, there's a couple things I want to mention before we move forward. Did you see the Bethesda UK event?
I
where
saw
they
the pictures
rented
from
an
everybody having fun and
castle.
enjoying themselves.
I'm not jealous at all.
No, me either.
That was so for
not
anyone
jealous, not jealous of the crate there, the treasure chest that were given out to the Aussies either. I wasn't jealous of that.
Nope.
Do you guys hear about this?
Yes, they're amazing. Like,
oh my! I watched the building. Like when
like that is a legit like. I don't.
I've got room back there to put one if anybody wants to send.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anyone not want theirs from Australia? Because I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, you just send it to me. Like,
oh yeah, there's some cool stuff that came out. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was Iffy's that I saw when he first revealed it. I'm like, dude.
Did you see his flag? Did you see his flag?
His flag is awesome.
He's got the high isle flag.
Yes, he does.
I was like,
it's very cool. It is cool if the community teams do something different for all of us. Like, that's also like pretty cool. Like, all the different groups. It's like very, very neat.
Yeah. But yeah, the event there in the UK was that just amazing or what? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what happened, So Bethesda got the booked or rented, I don't know how it works, but basically they got the Eastnor Castle in UK, which is on a hill by the lake, and it's an actual castle for a High Isle event, and they had like knights and bards and obviously the community members. It's an amazing place, and it was just, I guess, for High Isle at least, the best event so far that you could physically go.
I mean, it's probably
so
the most connected to like what the actual chapter is. It literally was just like, all right, back to medieval times, just like we're doing on the Sisters Isles. It's like, that's actually like, okay, yeah, that really is just, you got a little mini Renaissance fair with the Elder Scrolls
right?
to it. I was like, all right, that's really.
I feel like we should do that here every year. Oh my god, I go to that every year,
right?
Jeez,
I did enjoy getting fake snowed on though in Vegas.
But yeah, they had an archery range. They had like knights fighting and stuff like that. So it was a great event from the looks of it. So well done, UK community team. I mean, that's gonna make a lot of places jealous. And hopefully, maybe that's gonna make a lot of the other branches do similar events that people can go to. So it's a good thing, good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I wanted to mention is our Elder Scrolls D&D that we play with Ophelia, Ninja, K-Pow, Dawn Whisper, and myself is returning. The Roads Less Traveled Elder Scrolls D&D returns on July 17. So
Nice.
We'll be back with our chaotic ways and our new characters and whatever Ophelia has been cooking up for us in terms of storyline and everything like that. So yeah. You'll be able to watch that as usual at twitch.tv/Ophelia. And obviously, I'll be talking about that in Tales, about what we do and stuff like that.
That's always my favorite episodes are the early ones where you find out about whose character and what they are and a little bit of backstory. And, it's like character development moment. You're just like, we got the popcorn.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I've made no bones about the fact that I don't really know much of anything about D&D, but like the one charity thing I had the pleasure of doing with Ophelia and Rich and Demios and Hyperpixie, it was just like, it was fun. She's so good at directing people. Like, even when they're completely off the wall erratic, like I was trying to be, which was just like, she just in stride just kept going with everything. And it was like, I am just coming up with the dumbest crap that I think just a steam-powered Centurion would do. And she just never let it phase her and just let me ruin everything or use Pixie as a literal key to open a door at one point. Like, so it's like, I mean, she does such a good job with it.
Yeah, I have to say, for someone who says, you don't have much experience or knowledge about D&D or like tabletop RPGs in general, the character you created was fantastic.
I was glad people enjoyed that so much. Because, a lot of people did message me and were like, so you don't? I was like, that's like the second session of D&D I've ever played. I had no idea what I was doing. But I was glad as it was at least entertaining to go with at the time. So, but no, I totally... It's good watching all of you because you have a deeper understanding of it too, which I think helps the flow of it more. And the more, as with anything, the more experience you get with something, you get a good flow to it. And it progresses quicker while you do more stuff, and it just all kind of clicks. So,
yeah. And as Ninja in chat said, she had a lot of practice with me and Ninja because both of our characters were just wrong.
Yes,
I mean,
I was
just
say,
wrong.
The two of you seemed like you guys were probably both the template for what I was doing more than I realized at the time.
but yeah, I mean, we don't know any of our characters either this time, so I'm looking forward to it. Like, basically everyone's, I mean, unless they are working something together in the background, but from what I know, no one knows each other's characters at the moment, and we'll all learn who the others are in the first session. So that's gonna be exciting. I mean, I'm trying to cook up something odd this time instead of my drunk Nord, but we'll see where it all goes. I have a fun character idea in mind again that hopefully will roll better than my previous 2 years of the ending. But yeah. So do you guys have any news in mind that, because these were the only things that I
really the only notes
had
other
in
than Tuesday is High Isle drops on console, so console hype for us on PlayStation, wink, and Xbox.
Did you want to? I don't know what segment this kind of goes under, but we've had a lot of like extra hype and stuff going on with like set sail to High Isle with a lot of streamers, like with the stream.
Yes, I was going to say, that was the other thing I wanted, because it's continuing through console launch. So like, if you like getting this stuff, actually, Maddie, why don't you take it with the kind of like as you're part of it, the stream side of this, because a lot of times people don't realize like you can just pop up a tab on the side thing while you're playing High Isle yourself. It supports a streamer, but it also gets you free stuff. And some of them, a lot of times people have just been shown somebody they were unaware of existed beforehand that they find super entertaining.
Yeah. There was a whole kind of thing, and there's multiple levels. Within this. And I'm glad that they had all that. They had from like, if you just were a streamer and you're in the directory, you got drops on. You've got there's different levels of drops for like a little over a week for each one. Like you say, this last segment, which you can watch 8 hours and collect everything that you might have missed the previous weeks. Going all the way, I think it's the 26th is the last day or something like that.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So we've got that going on in there. So there was that level. Then there was a little bit more of the stream team was doing some extra stuff. And of course, we had some extra codes within that to give out to people. And of what was going on for High Isle. We were giving out High Isle codes, which was really great, and getting a lot of hype going for that. Then there was another level up from that, which was actually something Ninja 614 was part of it. A lot of great people, Iffy and everybody were involved with, where they paired the streamers up with other either big name content creators or Twitch streamers in varying degrees of experience with ESO, and getting them to play with that. One of my favorite was Ninja with Tally. Came in, and Tally, who is one of the best, he's been a tank on WoW forever. Okay, and also has a love for ESO. Has really loved the game, has played in the past. And Ninja was showing him the ropes, was going through dungeons and putting together trials and showcasing that. So we had a lot of eyes on ESO from in such a positive way too, from all these streamers and content creators and from around the world that were getting paired up and going through and partnering up and doing stuff. And then some other ones that were just invited as well to stream ESO, and they weren't they weren't a duet with anybody. They were just doing it on their own, and again showing their communities this great game, because it's one of those things that it's no secret to any of us that a lot of people still think it's a dead game. And at 20 plus million people, and so many things and content coming out, every quarter, and all this new stuff. This was probably one of the biggest hype months I've ever seen. Everyone that I've talked to, numbers through the roof. Which
is funny you say that, because for the lead up, we had mentioned it was like, oh, it's kind of chill, and then like at the launch, it's like that's when everything hit at once. It was like, oh, there's like nothing pre-thing. It all happened as soon as it dropped. It was like, all right, well that's a different way of doing it, because we had a couple of shows where we're like, oh, it's pretty quiet, it's pretty chill going up to launch, and then it launched and it was just like, oh, all these promotional things. It was like, all right, that's
and I think everybody they got on their A game like right at that same time. I mean, Ninja's talking about it there. There's just this hype that get created by everybody, and I think everybody had a contribution to it, from anybody who was just in the directory and streaming ESO to the stream team, to the stream partners, to people who partnered up with people, to all the different communities sending out these gifts, like what we were saying, all the little hype packages and everything. And hey, there's a castle, we have these events, we have this stuff event, to the community managers, to the developers, to everybody coming in, and everybody's just on their A game. And like you said, it was such a lull. And we were even saying, is this going to kick in? When's this going to kick in? It felt a
mellow
little late.
before a launch.
And then, boom, it's just skyrocketed. And I think all of us are really hoping that it made a dent, it made a space in there, because we always thought that the directory was lower than it should have. And that was just because people never checked it out.
Right.
Since once you check it out, once you see what we're about, once you see the ESO fam, once you see, so many great people to watch and to do things with, bringing in, especially a younger demographic to it, because we always say that, that ESO trends a little bit older in there to show people that there's so much on so many different levels. And I think it's going to kick off even more once the consoles come in on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
I'm super hyped. I'm expecting, I don't know when we're going to get them. I'm expecting to get console codes for people to be able to give out, and it's just going to hit again. And I'm hoping this will steamroll and into July and August, so we keep it up, because it really is. I mean, I'm biased, but it really is deserving of more of this level of hype for this game.
Yep.
And it's been, like I said, it's been the biggest that I've ever seen from streaming it the past 3 years, and absolutely amazing. So I think everybody just, like I said, was on their A game and welcoming people in, and such a great response, and all across the thing, and having people like the card game, and
right.
Sorry, don't give me that smirk. I had you in mind when I said the comment.
I'm still waiting to see. I'm not judging.
I know.
I'm waiting to see once I get my hands on it.
You can judge afterwards.
But I've been so entertained by so many people who have been like, yeah, I'm not gonna like this, and it's just like, I keep looking at my feed. I was like, okay, how does everybody like this friggin' card game so much?
It's that weird thing. It's that weird thing. It's like, I'm not going to like it. I'm going to just play a little bit.
That's what I've heard.
12 hours later.
Right. And it's like, I've been super just like, all right, I'll just see it when it gets here. I goofed around with it a little bit on our like private PTS thing that we all were at. And I was kind of like, I have no idea what's going on. I was like, I'll learn it when it drops. And now it's about that time where I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. And if it's not for me, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. Not everything needs to be for me. I'll get into why Battlegrounds aren't for me. Again.
Yeah. And the big thing is to start playing it. Right. I think it's very hard to audibly someone to tell you about it, how it works, and do it. Even like watching somebody else play, you can kind of get a little bit. But when you start to just get into the mechanics of that, of like, okay, I put this card here. This is my options. Oh, this is how this works. I got killed. Okay, let me try that again. All right, this is good. Oh, I remember that from last time. There's enough of it that it's repetitive, that just the mechanism itself. And you're like, okay, that's how you get going in on it and stuff. So I don't know if there's like a minimum. Maybe Ninja would come up with a number, of minimum amount of games that you should play to really give it a shot. Yep. And then you're just like, okay, I get this. And I says, oh, this is really kind of fun. And then you kind of find out, I'm not gonna go into it or spoil this, but there's rewards, there's things, there's stuff, and
there's achievements. So that's why that's why I'm learning to play it.
Exactly. There's stuff that's going on that I think everybody will like, and it's again at the heart of it, at the really heart of it. I've talked to Rich about this. I was like, just something that you can sit down, have a beer, have a snack, and play a game of cards with your friend.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play, with Ark against Ark. I can't wait to play, I know you're going to come on the PC.
I was going to say, I'll be there eventually. Yeah. I was going to say.
Because once you got to figure it out, you just do the initial quest, and then, because the casual game of it, you can play at any kind of thing,
Right. And there's that combined deck thing to make it so that it's not just this overpowered, like, oh, I played 1,000 matches, so get effed. I've got all of the stuff. And it's like, well, it doesn't really work like that necessarily.
Yeah. Because you could let me collect all the decks, and you could come in, we could play the exact same amount of cards,
right?
In there, and it's just like, say, hey, Matt, you want to play some cards tonight? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the heart of it, and I think a lot of people were, judging, pre-early or that's really kind of the basics. Just want to play some cards in a game with, friends and sitting down. We're all card D&D a Magic the Gathering, role
it
play,
is that community. Like that's what it is.
It's that community. Somebody, asked me the other day, it's like, how did you make friends early? I said, I went to an arcade. I mean, because I knew they'd have like-minded people were going to at the arcade. It's like, and so now, and I think people are kind of finding that out with this card game. I kind of predicted, in a sense that I said, I don't think people know how big this card game's going to be as far as a social aspect.
Yes. The big one, which I think is really funny because he actually made the prediction. I think it was actually on Tales here. I got to check the episode. But Robots had the quote where he actually was like, look, he's like, in a year, there will probably be more players playing this regularly than anything else in the game.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I believe that.
I could see that because you can jump into those so casually. Even something like, I just want to do my random normal dungeon for the day. That is a little more involved. Yeah. Even if you have to just, as ridiculous as it might sound, you got to sit up. You got to actually you can play cards. You can be slouched over, like you said, having a beer, just flipping cards. It's like, it's much more relaxed. So I'm curious if he'll be right in the end.
And as a streamer, it opens up a whole new thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're for content, for someone to stream that where you can interact with your community. So for a lot of streamers that love to chit chat with their community, I mean, we joke about my juggling all the time and stuff and not doing much. It's like that. Playing a card game and relaxing and chatting with your thing. I mean, I can see that there are going to be that niche, ESO streamer that just starts. Our wonderful Tina Khajiit.
Right.
I mean, gosh, I had a blast at her stream, and I think she did 12 hours almost of just the card game. Ooh, right. And I was happily content.
Yeah.
In there and stuff. So there's so much that, I agree with Robots that this is going to be bigger than any of us think.
Yep.
And it's one of those that, I think they knew. I think they knew what they had when they decided to come out with this. Mm-hmm. And it's just waiting for you to give it a chance.
Yep.
Just wait for you, because it's, like you said, it's so fun. My favorite one is my friends are more PvP oriented. And I keep on, I'll look on the, who, I just see card games. And I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, see, a lot of the people who are who never played card games and are in ESO or similar games for the PvP or competitive aspect of it, does not realize how competitive card games get. And not just by design, but the feeling of it as well. I mean, in those last rounds, when you pull, several combos back to back, and suddenly change the course of the game, that feeling is as good as just going 1v5 and coming out on top. It's similar feeling. So if they start getting into that level of play in Tales of Tribute and start getting that dopamine rush from the card game, then they'll realize I
haven't felt that kind of saltiness. I'm just like, what is that feeling? It's like, I think back to the days of Uno when people draw 4 cards.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? And I was just like, I got beat. I got beat by my good friend of Lunaroni. And I was like, a little salty about that. But she got lucky on those cards. I was making excuses. Yeah. I'm like, she got lucky on those raw cards.
And one thing that we kind of joked about it, and I've seen more jokes just kind of tossed around on online about it and stuff like that. But one thing that was originally viewed in a pretty negative light, but I'm curious if it's going to amount to something in the long game, which unfortunately I don't think a lot of people saw the potential of this, was there are ranking ladders for the card game. And a lot of people joked, it's we've been asking for this for years in Battlegrounds and stuff like that, and you give it to us in a card game. And the thing about that, which, okay, fine, you're not incorrect in that statement. However, is this a test bed for implementing this into Battlegrounds? Because one of the things about the Battlegrounds leaderboards, for anybody who might not know, is they are useless It is totally just amount of points. So even if you're awesome, but somebody else just plays 5 times more than you and loses all the time, but technically plays, the people, now granted, good players tend to play a lot, so you kind of run into that, but it's like, I suck at Battlegrounds. I don't even like Battlegrounds all that much, and I've been the leader on Battlegrounds leaderboards, like second place, third place, and stuff like that. It becomes a lot of time played, whereas this seems to be tiers of ranking, which the names are funny, like Rubidite and stuff like that. I think it's funny that they're named after the crafting materials in tiers. But then, like, once you get up, then you get into like the real cutthroat competitive ranking type of thing. It'd be neat if they found a way to introduce that into Battlegrounds. So that's an interesting idea if this is almost like because a lot of times ESO test beds things for something else and we just don't know why yet. I'm wondering if this might be able to be used to give people that actually enjoy Battlegrounds like a more competitive environment, because the way that matchmaking works in Battlegrounds right now is just kind of like you kind of play the same group of people all the time after the initial couple games, and then it's just whoever's online to fill the match, like it type of deal.
Yeah.
And they've tried a couple different things, so I'll be curious to see if they can learn something from the way this is distributed ranking-wise and implemented it to other things, because, you know, it seems like they're finally messing with the idea of doing stuff in PvP. So I'll be curious to see if that translates to all PvP going forward.
I like how you went down that rabbit hole with that one, because it didn't appear to be at all. I just thought maybe it's just an easier way it's easier to do it with this system. You know? Like, this means that they're going down, it's going to connect and everything. And it might very well be.
Yeah, who knows?
You know?
It remains to be seen.
Or it could just be a simple fact that because of how this system works, it's much easier to put up.
It very well could be, but like it wouldn't surprise me. Mainly the reason I say that is because of the amount of tests that they've done with the varying PvP modes in this game, from player amounts to healing in group, healing only out of group, proc, no proc, these things work, these things don't work. There's so many different things they've tried. It wouldn't surprise me if this was like, okay, how does this work here? Can we use anything from that? Because like like I said, it's largely just cumulative points. So if you just keep playing and playing and playing and playing, you're going to keep ranking up. To a degree, you can never really get knocked down until that week is over, type of deal. So I don't know. It's very interesting what this could lead to if the system is good.
Oh, I just thought about this. If going down your rabbit hole, I love going down those theories and stuff. This has a season to it, the card game.
Yes, which I think again could have
that connection to the PvP. And then, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, okay.
Which is something Deltia had brought up wanting, way back. Deltia had mentioned, he was like, man, some type of seasonal thing would make this really cool. And we got a seasonal thing with this.
We got a seasonal thing,
Maybe
you know? I mean, there's...
Right.
Never know.
I don't think the ranking will come to PvP, like the combat PvP side of ESO, though, and I don't think it would apply, because the card game is... I think the main difference is card game is between two people.
Yeah, there's also the
it's just one like two-sided.
Right.
The PvP of ESO, the problem with what I see in ESO's PvP's ranking would be it's 3 ways. So you could be a great player, but could constantly get sabotaged by another team. So that's the problem I see with ESO's PvP and ranking how good people are.
Right.
Because there isn't just like 2 teams fighting each other and one coming out on top.
Yeah.
You could be playing greatly, and one of the other teams, instead of just playing the objective, could just focus your team for whatever reason, sabotage you, and the other team that is really not doing anything wins, and suddenly their MMR or like whatever ranking number you are using is higher, even though they technically didn't do anything.
There's those extra variables to that by far. And actually Ninja mentions too, there's also the imbalance of builds. There's so much variety, whereas you do have a much more neutral starting point with the cards.
Yeah.
Besides there just being two of you, you're playing with the same there's no like, oh, by the way, I hope you like, as a throwback, it's like, I hope you like, Rune Cage that for some reason, just for that one patch, barely cost anything. It costs more to break free of Rune Cage. It's like, oh, cool, I'm just going to Rune Cage you until you literally are dead because you will run out of stamina before I ever stop casting it. It's like, well, that seems horrible.
So you'd have to basically start with everybody has nothing, give them the same gear, the same skills, the same stuff.
Right, exactly.
But then have it, like Ark says, have it just against two people.
Right, and then you have a duel, which
like
aren't
a
ranked.
dueling. Yeah, exactly. Have dueling. So
so
like a dueling ranking
hard.
could work.
Dueling ranking, honestly, I bet would make a lot of people happy if they just allowed some type of ranking for dueling. Like if that's what we'll put up a leaderboard for duels. It's like, sure, whatever.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking of like like the movie Gladiator. Could you imagine if you and someone else just started in a rune, you pick what sword you want, what gear you want to put on, what skills you want to do. You go out to the arena and you battle each. Okay, I'm going to save that. I'm going to talk to people about that.
I was going to say
that is a fun community event right there.
It'd be cool.
Matty TM, trademark.
Speaking of theory, like that would just be neat because like if like, okay, first you pick your weapons and it shows the other person what you picked. And then it's like, okay, now you pick your gear and it shows the other person what they picked. So it's like you'd have to almost like try to mix and match each other. Like that would be that sounds super involved, but it sounds like it'd be really cool.
A boon of a patron that's up in the stands. So you would get their boon. You get to pick which boon of which patron that you could go into battle with. Game developers. Game developers. You take off the Khajiit fur, and I've got a plethora of ideas.
And it turns out it is just that easy.
It's that easy. Hit the easy button, ship it, everybody go like that.
It's bug-free on launch, nothing.
Bug-free on launch, everything like that, yep. It's nice to dream about those things, I tell you. It really is, It's like that's being a game fan of just gaming.
Armchair game development.
Armchair game developer. The Monday morning game developer.
Yeah, exactly. I guess before we do the shout outs, I'll just throw this into the news section. I don't have it listed as the news section, but I'll just throw it in just because it sort of relates to news-based stuff. On Tuesday with the High Isle launch, as part of the combined effort of Fallout for Hope, which is, kind of a joint organization, which is actually, it's run by Kenneth Vigue, the host and creator of the Shad, a Fallout 76 podcast, which I strongly recommend if you don't even really need interest in Fallout. It's just funny as hell. But in conjunction with Wes Johnson, who I'll have a story about later, there is the Voiceapalooza / like The Longest Day, which is a charity currently going on. It started on Friday, and it's extending to the 26th, which includes the 21st, the day High Isle drops on console, where there's a group of all of us trying to raise money for ending Alzheimer's. It's something that I thought was an awesome cause. Wes Johnson is a fantastic voice actor. For anybody who does not know, he is Shea Gorath. He is Lucien Lachance. He is my favorite character in the series, Hermaeus Mora. He's the Oblivion Guards. Like, he does so many voices in the series. He's also Super Mutants from Fallout, and like the guy selling the Swata baseball bats in the Green Diamond. But all around, just awesome cause. And on Tuesday, as soon as I get home from work, going to give you guys the best estimate I can. I think 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll be posting on Twitter about it tomorrow. I am going to be streaming High Isle's launch day. If you're on PlayStation, feel free to just join. We're going to be doing kind of map questing around the whole thing. We're not going to do story spoiler stuff, but just dailies and collecting and all that fun stuff. And we're going to be raising money for that cause. So I will have a link in that as well. So if any of you are looking for a stream to watch, obviously there's still drops and stuff available, I believe. So that's fine too. I've got a few things that I'm actually going to see if I can find a way to mail out, as mailing is less awful, I think, than it used to be for prizes and stuff. But yeah, so that's going to be something on Tuesday over at Lotus of Doom. If you have any interest in that, I will be basically streaming from 5 to, I don't know, whenever I need to go to bed because I'll have to work the following day. But yeah, it should be a good time. So all of you are welcome. And it's not just me. There's lots of other people. If you need to check out any of their streams, T had her first stream for it. There's also, there's so many of us just like doing it on behalf of the community, so definitely check it out. It should be a really good time. And just in case everything blows up because it is launch day, in reserves, I have Daggerfall installed, so we will play Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall just in case the servers aren't ready when I get back home. So even if they don't, there's a reserve plan.
I mean, I kind of feel like I don't want the servers
There are a few
to work
people who
now,
have said
so
that.
you play Daggerfall
Yeah,
instead.
there have been a few people who have said that. They're like, oh man, I really want to watch you play one of the classics. I was like, it's like, well, you might get your wish because it's hard to predict what happens on a launch day. So
Yeah. So before we move on to our tales, obviously we have our shout outs and reviews to read and a little break. If you somehow missed, we are now working with UESP, so our Patreon is patreon.com/UESP, where you earn great Elder Scrolls rewards and get a shout out on the show. And this week it's Beer Motor, and I will terribly butcher this, I think, Deirdre Lehew. Thank you so much for supporting us over at patreon.com/UESP. I hope you enjoy your rewards. We do also have an iTunes review that I love this week. I love it. This is from Feonores. Awesome podcast. Greetings from Belgium. Great podcast. Keep it up. Been listening since episode 123, somewhere in 2016.
wow.
It's been so long. I play on PlayStation 5 EU. Also, Ark, I will join your campaign against those Guar devils. They are the real menace of Nern. So,
I knew
it
there
is
had to be
one
a
of
catch.
Yeah. I mean, normally when we get like a 5-star review, I am the one.
I was going to say,
Who
we
gets,
can add
like,
this to the
emotional
Ark side of
damage?
the army, which I don't...
That's right.
So this makes me really, really happy. Thank you so much, Feonores, for that 5-star. And yes, you shall join in the campaign against the Guar, so we may save even those who are ignorant of the evil of Guar. So
You gotta give Ark wins every once in a while. Just
do
so
not.
hey.
We need to just keep
They're
mashing him down into the murk mire.
they are so rare that I cherish whenever I get them. So we are gonna take a break and we will continue with our tales, except I will hop off during the break, which is why we started the Lotus streaming today. It is 4 a.m. my time and I have work tomorrow, so I will jump off at this point, let you two continue after the break. Maddie, it was amazing to finally be able to sit down with you and chat. Hopefully we'll get to do this more in the future.
Definitely.
And one thing you mentioned did like dawn on me. I can actually jump on PCNA to play the
can.
card game
Why
because
won't matter?
latency is not an issue in the card game.
In the card game,
not.
yeah.
So yeah, I may not be able to join the Tipsy Trials, but I can play the card game.
Yep.
Even if
Yeah.
I have like 250 ping. So I'll definitely set it up. I'll at the first chance
Wonderful.
just log
Wonderful.
in and get my decks and everything ready so we can do that.
That's
But
great.
yeah. We'll see. Well, they will see you all in a minute, and I will see you all next week. Have a great rest of the show.
We are back. Ark, as he had mentioned, had to go to bed because it is 4 a.m. his time. Well, with the Father's Day thing, we were recording a little later, which is hyper late for Ark. He also now can't hear my master plan that I was saving for the duel between you guys. So, Matty, here's what's going to happen. He will definitely have more ping on PS or PCNA, but, we had mentioned that that's probably not a big situation of, with cards, no biggie. You don't need quick reflexes. However, what I'm going to do is cast every sparkly effect right next to you guys while you're playing cards.
It doesn't work that way.
No?
You're going to like your own little instance.
I was going to say, and I just want you guys to come out and just realize that it's like I've chucked my like 50th spear shard on Arcaneer. And I'm just...
Well, you know what? I mean, it's like an instance, but I don't know where you go. I don't know how that works and stuff like that. Maybe it does kind of affect it a little bit.
It's kind of funny. Like, it's one of those things I've never seen. I want to see what it looks like for two other people playing cards. Like, that's what I've been curious on. Do you just stare at each other?
No, it's almost like you poured away. You just disappear.
Oh. Wow, damn it. Ark's still in chat. Aren't you supposed to be in bed? That was to counteract the Guar review. That's interesting though, that you kind of just like float away, almost like you're porting or something like that.
Because it was one of those things. I made one of the latest houses, the underwater house. I made like a game room.
Okay.
And so I have like all these like tables, and I put like beer on them, and I put things, and everything like that. And it's like, well, that's all nice, but like everybody sees you disappear.
Rip.
Oh, you can actually meet up, so you can actually do
meet
that
at the table, but then you turn ethereal.
Then you disappear. So technically, you would only need one table, and everybody can.
That's true. It's just the biggest table in history.
Right.
So I figure this is where we can jump into the Tales portion of the show. It's been a little while since you've joined us, Maddie. What have you been up to? What have you accomplished since the last time you were on the show?
Let's see. Well, outside of the whole face reveal thing, inside of Tamriel, because was I Godslayer when I was here last?
You were not. I shouted you out when you joined, because you're usually in chat, but you have not been on the show since it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yes. Yeah. So, for anybody who might not know, what was your little story with that whole situation? Because I'm not going to lie, it was a pretty quick turnaround, and I don't know if maybe because you have like a fun casual atmosphere type of thing to your stream, maybe some people didn't realize that you can have a fun casual vibe, but also still go real hard when it gets competitive.
Yeah, it's one of those things that a lot of people will underestimate me a little bit. Well, that's why that's part of the reason I will post a parse here or there.
Yes.
That it's not showing off, but it's one of those things.
Don't tell me I don't know how to play. Like,
well, because that comes up a lot with streamers. It's like oh, doing that and stuff. So a little bit of fame got me into the knowledge of some of these wonderful streamers that are at the top of their game. There's people like Defy Legends and 8 Puppies who are absolute just geniuses in the game.
8 is a beast. I actually really like watching his progs.
In all 3 of his things, I mean, he can lead, as a tank, he can heal like nobody's business, and he can out DPS anybody out there practically.
Yeah.
And so, and actually I talked to him when the DK changed with the last patch. For us, I said, I'm getting depressed here. We were so big, and I got my Godslayer. Was like, what do I do? He says, you know what? Do this. Let me see yours. What you're running, your combat metrics, and he's like, do this, and try it. And I tried it, and I worked on it. I was pretty close to where I was back, maybe about like 6 or 7K down. Yep. But not in the huge hole that I found myself.
When it first happened.
So he's knows all that stuff. So people would know me, and I think as they kind of figured out that I knew stuff. And then I got the invitation to what they call the Barrier Brothers, the group that they run.
Yeah, I actually
And
wish there was a Barrier Brothers style thing on PlayStation because I love just the idea behind Barrier Brothers because a lot of people really struggle with the idea of using the barrier strat, which is sort of a console thing because of various reasons. But like a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's super cheesy." I was like, if it works, it's not cheesy. It's just a different strategy.
and it's and it's one of those things. I mean, it's not all they do. You just
certainly not. No, you still need to know what you're doing. Like it's not just you cast barrier and instantly get trifectas. That's not how it works. Like.
Yeah, so it was one of those things that I was real nervous going in there, and I was like, it's like okay, because I didn't know anybody in there other than like Eat Puppies a little bit and Defy a little bit, and so I go and I do, and Defy actually my main, it actually gave me my love for the DK, which I never had.
Oh, interesting.
I had a DK up. But like at Greymore, I made my first DK and I was doing stuff with it and tried stuff, and at the time, I didn't understand it. Now, you probably know this more than me because you're smart.
You'd be smart.
I didn't know that it was a melee magic class.
Oh,
I didn't get that part of it. I was trying to do everything from range, and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So
Magplar is kind of like almost like a hybrid of ranged and melee. The way DKs are. Like you said, they're a melee Magicka class, but a lot of times it's like daggers can really screw with people if that's the weapon thing, which is a little more meta than staves on your front bar at least. A lot of DPSs are choosing for the crit bonus to use dual wield daggers, and that can be a lot harder to adjust to your point, because you need to be in melee range to hit light attacks. Like but it clicks with a DK because you got to be up in its face anyways.
Yeah, so you got to do all that stuff, and so Defy, who's going to be our raid lead for it, he's just like, I'm going to give you a job. Your job is the Zen DK. And
oh my, okay,
I didn't know.
Yep, gotcha.
What is that?
Yep.
I'm like, I had no idea.
Okay,
and he's just like, okay, here's the gear that I want you to get.
Yeah.
You get the Zen daggers and the jewelry. You already got boss A's. You're gonna have the back bar of the staff and everything. And this is what it's about. And he explained it to me. I'm like, okay. And so you'll go out and get those things, and start parsing, start working with the rotation. And actually, he didn't give me a rotation at the time. At the same time he got that, Skinny Cheeks had just made his DK epilogue. His thing where, oh my gosh, like a 2-hour YouTube.
Yeah, it's like a documentary
of all the different variations you could now have, and he so laid it out in a way that I understood it, of how you can have a Magicka-based class, but you're using stamina skills now, and you're blending all this stuff. I really, because I've never been on the stamina side, really,
right?
For a lot of stuff. So I'm learning that, and I love. See, this is the thing about me. It's like that's the teacher student in me. It's like, you give me a task, I'll work on it. I know how to do it systematically. I'll get better at it, and that's what I was doing. I was doing my research. I was working on this stuff, and then I got to parsing, and then I start to parse, and I'm doing stuff like that, and I'm just like, wow, that felt a lot easier than my mag blade, and I get like 10K higher than I did, and so like that. I got like 90 something. In like the first couple of parses that I did, I said, oh, this feels good. All right. For me, for someone, I said, maybe it's my old, World of Warcraft Affliction Warlock days. I love dots. I know people don't like dots. Sure. I like dots. You put it down there, you take a drink for a while if you fear somebody, back in the WoW days. And I always liked it. I had a character on there called Old School. It's like,
That's funny.
There's nothing better than an overzealous, paladin to come up to you. I'm just like, ... fear. Go ahead. Go somewhere and die.
Right.
So I'm like, it kind of spoke to me, and with the daggers, for some reason, because Magblade, very tough to do, and DPS on it's very tough. It's very back-ended.
Yeah,
where like at 25%, you're just going to town. So you're trying to keep up and get things close, and then pour on the power at the end, which they're so great at. So so this rotation just spoke to me. It's a static rotation that I knew I could do under pressure, and even with the nerves of doing, because okay, you're the achievement hound. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
You've got all the achievements except the ones that I get before you.
Yeah, I was going to say, you tend to get something and then I spite get them because I'm like, damn it, Maddie, you got another one I don't have. Like, it's like, all right, fine, now I got to get that. I'm in a Godslayer prog right now. I'm just like, damn it, now I need my Godslayer.
Well, it was so funny. To skip ahead a little, it was so funny when we finished our first run-throughs, stuff like that. I was getting all my achievements. They're like, Maddie, that's the first time you got trifecta? I'm like, it's my only trifecta. Yeah. They're like...
yeah, starting with Godslayer as your trifecta is an interesting...
It's an interesting tactic.
It is, but now you can do one of the biggest flexes in the game because, Planesbreaker and Godslayer are basically, until Dreadsail drops,
right.
Because I've heard... all about Dreadsail. But those are still two of the biggest flexes you can do. I mean, all trifectas, I will always say, when you're getting a perfecta, if you can do all of these things together, that is awesome. It's so awesome. But there's tiers of difficulty to those as well. Not saying any of them are just like, oh, this is a breeze. That's not it. But there's different tiers of how, and Sunspire specifically, I know it's a lot different from PC to console because of there's some gear switching options which you can do in a different way. Console, we have some very different strategies I learned because I've been researching a bunch because I'm currently main tanking for my group, and switching gear on console is not convenient when you need to be running from ad pull to ad pull. And like when I saw a couple of the PC versions, I was like, oh shit, that would really make that less confusing if I were able to do this and then pull. And it's like we're doing that for everything. So not that either, again, that's not trying to say like, oh, it's easy to get this on PC. Wrong.
No, I get you. Yeah,
But the difference is you have to change your strategies to work for it because time is more of a factor. Not dying is always the hardest factor. Like having 12 people be that organized and have no one drop is complicated. But like you can do a different method on this version as opposed to this version based on what you need to pull where and do what with. And time, because of just switching, becomes like, oh, you got to keep that in your mind. Some of the other ones, again, Griffin Hearts 1, TikTok Tormentor, Immortal Redeemer. If everybody gets through the trial and nobody died, you probably got the speed run.
Got the speed run, yeah.
It doesn't work like that in Sunspire.
No. And that was and I think what you just said is the thing where I finally realized, because I put it into practice, where the whole meta conversation goes out the window completely. I had a job.
Yes.
I had to do my job. I had to learn a new class. I had to do all this stuff to be able to help the group with their objective of what we needed to do.
Right.
Why was I having all speed CP and all this stuff, and I could barely control my character because I was going so fast? Because we had to run. We had to move. We had to go. My damage wasn't just like, oh, Maddie can do over 100k parse, he's ready to go. No, it's because if I don't do that much damage, we don't burn down the bosses quick enough, we don't get the speed run.
Correct. Or you don't push past the ice dragon second breath, like the second ice cage. Like for anybody who doesn't know, that's very specific reference. Sorry. It's
and that's where you're at with that. You're at the specific part. That's where you're at the top of the top stuff. So when people talk about metas and they talk about gear, stuff like that, I had 3 different setups for 3 different dragons and 3 different skill sets.
Sure.
So it really put into practice the thing, and I felt this way before, but it really is, when you get the hands-on, I'm just like when you talk about a build and someone asks you, well, what's your situation? Okay, what are you going after? What are you doing?
Correct.
Like I'm actually I'm setting up right now. I just got the one of the new mythics and stuff because I'm going to be starting up the Kind's Aegis I want my totems.
Yeah. I was going to
So-
say Shield of the North, Plains, Dawnbreaker,
Dawnbreaker, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the Dawnbreaker one. So I'm starting that, I think, either this week or next week. And I am a Zen DK, but
Dawnbringer, by the way, that's what it is. Dawnbringer. I was like,
Yeah,
wait,
Dawnbreaker.
Dawnbreaker is the ultimate. I was like, there's no way it's named the same as the skill.
That's right, the same thing,
Dawnbringer.
yeah.
Sorry, Dawnbringer.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I'm doing that, and I'm using a new mythic. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know.
I do know about the gear. I
Okay.
don't mind spoilers on.
Okay,
it. So
okay.
like, yeah.
I'm using the new necklace, the serpent.
The serpent coil thingy.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they tell me I'm a little bit worried. They tell me, says, well, you're not going to have to move a whole lot. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to move a whole
Yes.
lot. So
You're
they're like,
very
okay,
stationary.
they don't move too much. So
No,
yeah.
It's a
that's-
much more sedentary thing for the boss fights.
For the boss fights. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. No, that
So
totally
I'm
makes
gonna
sense.
so there you go. I'm gonna have certain things for a boss fight versus the trash and everything. So it's that kind of thing. So it really kind of hit home this whole idea. It's like, yeah, you could strive for a meta that might always change. It's a job. I'm like, at this level, I've got a job to do that's going to get our group that. So. And I'm going to learn all about that, which I'm excited about. I got kind of bitten by the bug a little bit.
Yeah, no. Once you get your first trifecta and you get that weird like shaky thing when you're in execute, and you're like, nobody died. But everybody's parsing like as hard as they can, and
Oh my gosh.
and then once you get it, you're like, holy shit, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Now I want to do another one. Like, yeah.
Well, and so I got all this stuff for the Godslayer stuff. When we go and we do our runs, I'm a little nervous. New people, hi. I'm the streamer. How you doing? But I didn't stream it because I'm like, I took it serious. We didn't start till late.
It's
Anyway.
why people like watching like me do stuff where I just get trucked like murder. And it's fine when I'm just like, hey, it's the first time we've ever seen it, so I always do like that clueless dungeon launch and stuff like that. But it's like if I'm progging something legitimately, I'm gonna just ignore chat, and that's at that point. Like some people are great at that, like 8Puppies and Nephis and stuff like that. They can kind of do both. I don't have that micromanagement.
No, I can't do that. So I did record every run. I would do a record on OBS, for every run to catch it. If we did it.
Yep.
And so we started, and I tell you, hands off to these people that this is what they do. They run these things all the time. Mm-hmm. They're just as people who know dungeons mechanics in the back of their hand, people who know PvP stuff in the back of their hands and how to play and everything else, and trading guilds, stuff like that. To run with people that is what they do all the time. I think they had done like two or three runs prior to that evening of other stuff, and they just switched. I mean, they know. Yep. I think Puppies was running it on Xbox or whatever it does, a console, and then just switched over to PC to run it on PC
for that run.
Yeah. So it was just crazy. So we're going into it, and I was glad I wasn't the first one to die, so I felt a little bit better. I kind of broke the ice,
It always is nice when you're not the first one to die.
And then we started to go, and we started to do our stuff, and they also gave me my positions. I said, I had the little bush that's right in front of where the DPS is damaged. Yep. So they would yell, Matt, go to your bush. And I'm like, oh, God, and everything and stuff. So I had my place, and I figured it out. And like I said, I'd never, ever seen the hard mode mechanics live.
Yep.
I'd never seen it live. And so they're just like, and actually, to this day, I don't know everything that the tank's doing. I don't know everything that the healer's doing. I just know my job, and I think that's very much. I always think it's like a Patriots thing. It says, "Do your job." It's the only. I just focus in. Maddie, you got to be here. Okay, Maddie, you got to move around that and do that. Everything you take that. One of the during the first run of it, when we got to the final boss, and I knew how to block. I'm like, yeah, of course I know how. They didn't say that. It says I blocked all in the right time. Everyone was like, see, Maddie's blocking, and somebody else wasn't blocking in the group, and they died. And I'm just like, yeah, you tell me to block, I'll block.
So it's funny because just hearing this, you seem to have a very similar learning pattern to that I do. It sounds weird, especially because oftentimes when you're tanking, you tend to be one of the trial leads. It's usually a support that oftentimes is a trial lead, or they'll fill in for anything. Whatever's needed, they just probably know how to do because they know the ins and outs so much. And I constantly like to tell people, it's like, look, if I'm the trial lead or I've done this a zillion times, it's fine.
Yeah.
If I'm progging and I'm not the one who knows what to do, or I'm like, okay, I call a lot of times, I'll go in as a fill, like, oh, we just need somebody to do, a Tank of Griffin Heart try or something, or we're doing purple. We just need people who we don't have to teach because we're trying to help somebody or whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, but if I'm new to it, I don't want to. It sounds weird, but I don't want to be like, well, what if I do this? I like being like, tell me exactly what you want me to do with your group, and I will do exactly that. Maybe give me a couple reps to figure out the timing on it, but tell me exactly what you want. Don't leave it up to me to use my best judgment. I'm the new person in this group. Tell me what to do. I'm just going to do the thing, because the end result is I want us to do the thing we set to. So just tell me. Like, I don't have enough of an opinion unless you're doing it wrong and I'm experienced. It was like, well, maybe try this. But it's like, if I don't have the clear, what am I going to tell you how to do it? Kidding?
Yeah. And I was jokingly telling my says, don't be afraid to yell at me. Just like, I'm a big boy. He's just like, just say, she says, Maddie, you messed this up. You got to go over there when you do the thing. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. That's, it's like, don't, and I agree.
Yep.
And the other thing is, which is why a lot of people do get stressed by this. This is totally fine. And I understand why this is not of interest to people. Because it is just so much precision and learning and repetition. The big thing that a lot of people don't understand is the amount of repetition to get it perfect. Yeah. When we post perfecta videos, it's like, we didn't show you the 400 screw-ups.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't show you like died that mob on the first one that he jumped on. The cat jumped on me. I'm just like, Maddie, what are you doing? I'm just like, okay, I'm stopping that video.
Yeah, I'm uninstalling.
We don't show you those and everything. Or like, at least it's the perfected stuff like that. And that's why it's not for a lot of people. Is that
and I
was not standing, like, I didn't really realize that if I wasn't standing in my exact position, what actually happened.
Right.
And like I ran through a couple of people because I was way too far on the far side, and I had to run to my spot all the way back up like towards
zap,
the front.
Zap, zap.
I ran, boom, 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 and I'm wiping the group, and I'm like,
I don't want to do that again.
That's why I have to be closer, even though I might die, and I got to avoid a cleave. That was the worst part for me. I had a hard time seeing the cleaves forever.
Yeah.
And everything. So, which is going to come back to a story I'm going to tell a little bit later.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get to the boss. So we get to the final boss and everything, and I didn't know about so blocking. I'm doing all that stuff, and then the skill choices and when they told me to use my standard or not started to make sense.
Yep.
Where I'm like, okay, you wanted me at this point to add this skill because. Like claw, like the talons.
Yes.
Because we've got these other mobs around us.
Correct.
But I can do. So I'm all about. I'm doing the Zen stuff, and I'm doing a lot of AOE stuff.
Like, luckily, too, Zen links up real well with Dragon Knights. So like that's a natural mix.
Natural mix, and that was one of those things. And I understood it, and I did all that. And then I remember I did not get my standard up, and when we were going, to gather all of the mobs up after the dragon goes up, and everything, and we did not get down the will fast enough, and the will just went on a tear and like killed everybody.
Yeah, just dumping
and
those
it's just like
wind things everywhere.
They're like, Maddie, you got to make sure to have that up there. I'm like, wow, my little bit, I think it was like at like 240 instead of at the 250 that I needed it to be at. That's the little bit, because I probably was a little bit freaked out and I didn't get all my light attacks in to build up my stacks. That's how little it is. Precise it is. And that's the thing. So it's not for everyone in that case.
No, a lot of people just don't care that much about that type of precision.
And you don't have to.
No.
But if you want the highest thing, if like I wanted that mount real bad.
Yeah, you want the mount. I just want the title. That's my thing. I think that's one of the coolest titles in the game. So it's like, ooh, that's the title I want. But like that's just it. It's like that. I understand why that isn't a draw for so many. It's like, ugh, that's way too much work. It's not fun.
And to enjoy the game, you do not even remotely have to come.
No, there's a lot more to do in the game outside of doing stuff like that than there is for that.
I'm always like, if you want to get that kind of experience and you don't want to have to spend that much time, or you just can't because you work or whatever, stuff like that, the normals are giving you the same adrenaline rush, the same thing to complete and everything. But this is for that little bit on top of it. And so the two big moments. Okay, the second one's of course the big run, but I'll share the one other moment was when we did actually our second run of it. So these groups always clear, which I'm like, we always clear hard modes. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, so I'm doing my stuff, and I didn't die, and we beat Loke or Locke or however you.
Yeah, I call Loke. So,
and I hear Iffy, officially Iffy now. He changed his name.
Yeah, he changed his head a little bit.
Yeah, Iffy. Here he goes. He goes, look at Maddie with the 103K, and I'm like, what? I outparsed the group.
That's awesome.
And again, that's not to brag. It's so that, like, Defy, who is a writer, says, Maddie? And he swore a little bit. I will swear. He says, if anybody says that you're a bleeping carry, you show them this.
Yeah.
And so that from then on, everybody, I mean, I don't think anybody in mind, but in my psyche.
You're always your own. It's one of the things I say. If you're not in a shitty group, you're always your own worst enemy. Because anytime I screw up a trifecta and I'm like the one that dies or whatever, I'm like, God. And most of the people are like, whatever, we'll just reset. Like, no big deal. And then if anybody else does it, they're saying the same thing. I was like, bro, don't even worry about it. Like, who cares? It's fine. We'll just run it again. It's whatever. I was like, I couldn't be stressed at all. Like, whatever, my dude. Like,
that's the thing. The people who do this at this level, who know that they're good and can actually really do this stuff and everything, do not care at all. It's like, we're going to get there.
They know we're going to get there. You have to run it 400 or 500 times. It's the people who don't realize that it's like they get impatient after 6 pulls and you haven't done it. It's like, okay, well, buckle up. Like, we're here for a while outside of
We're here for a while, And so we would go through it and go through it and go through it. And then we did Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yep.
And so we do it again. And then, gosh, we came back the second week. I don't know what was on with me Tuesday. I stepped in everything.
Oh, yeah, you have those nights.
You have those nights. It was my night. Yep. And for all the highs that I was having from that first week to the low, I'm just like, I know, I was wiping the group left and right.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a detriment. This is terrible.
Yeah, it's like, it was a fluke. Yeah. It was a thing and stuff. So then we got to, so we did 1 week, a second week, and then the third week, it was like night number 6 because people had to leave, like, or couldn't make it, to a couple of more. So we get to the 6th time that we've all done it. And we finished the first one, and someone died, and they're like, we're just going to reset.
Yep. Yeah. Once you get to the reset thing where it's like, no, any death reset, we're not wasting time. We don't need reps on this. We need runs. Yep.
We need runs. And this is what it, and actually I should say that was day 5. We started to do that. So we started to do that. And I didn't realize what a big deal that was. Yeah. It's like, now we're at the point that we're not, like you just said.
Yeah, you're not looking for reps, you're looking for runs. Because for the longest time, you do reps until you get it, and then it's just, we need that perfect run.
Yeah, yeah. And then we got a 1 death.
Yep.
And it was like on a mob. It was like, and we just kept going, and we finished it. It's always on a mob. Yeah, it's always so we finished it off. So... did you? I still do. I told him a care. And that's what in my mind the whole time, all the way through. You're just like, oh god, what around? So no respect. So then run number 6 happens. Okay, so we're at day number 6, and we go, and we beat Locke, and I don't die to my cleaves.
Yeah.
And I'm on such a high, and we're going to the next one. Because that's usually, if I'm going to bite it, it's usually going to be on that.
It's always Locke. Locke is the hardest of the 3 by a pretty substantial margin.
hugely.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's one final boss, and Fire Dragon stands there and takes it. Like, it's really not.
And we never had any problems with downstairs group. They actually had to wait for us. They're like, "Can we come up yet?" You know, there's that. Yeah, they were just, you know. I think Puppies was on the downstairs group, so it was just, it was one of those things that they both could parse so well. They were like competing against each other.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Let me just try to solo the portal.
Yeah, exactly. So we had it covered. Yeah, I think we only had 2 people down there.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's how
say.
good it was. I was like, oh my God.
That wouldn't surprise me.
You know, and I knew exactly my placements for the final boss. I could block, you know, I could do my thing, and you know, all I did was stare at the boss the whole darn time. Didn't care all the mess that was in back of me. So like we got through that. We're running to the arch before you jump down into where the fire dragon is.
Yep.
Everything locks up. I'm like, what? And I'm just like, everybody, I just disconnect, and everybody's like, okay, don't worry, we'll wait a little bit. I try to get in. What's that thing where it takes us a little while to go in, and I try to go back, nothing.
304 already logged in, blah, blah, blah.
Yep. So, nothing, couldn't get back in. Started to be a little salty.
Yeah.
I started to joke a little bit. I said, if this keeps me from getting my thing after I beat luck without going through, I'm like, all right. So, and luckily, you know, these people know how much time it was going to take us, and you know, and if we do clean, and how like that, and so they're like, okay, we got to pull, and I'm just like, okay, I'm starting to come in, and so for people that don't know, you can get pulled in to the boss, but you don't know what you're going to see when you get there.
Real unpleasant surprise when you get pulled in and you're trying not to die.
Yeah, because I could have gotten pulled in where the whole middle is fire.
Correct.
And we're done. We're done with that run. We had to reset.
Yeah.
And I was going to be so upset. So I go in, I take, you know, my 2-3 steps, and your character kneels down, and I'm going in. I go in. I don't know if it was just the desync or what was happening with it. It gave me a second. I rolled on. I could see the fire flame, you know, of the dragon where it was going to come out on the ground, and I roll dodge right into the Iron Atronach. I rolled dodged past him, and I got to where I'm going, and I'm just light attacking. I'm like, okay, I'm here.
I think I'm here.
They're like, calm down, Maddie, calm down. You made it. You're okay. It's like that. And then like in like 2 seconds. It was get to the outside. He goes up. I'm like, I made it by 2 seconds. Yeah, it would have been fire.
Right. It would have spawned in the middle and then nuke fest. Like,
yeah, nuke fest. I would have been done. And so I'm just like, so we're doing it and everything. So now it becomes a matter of time.
Right.
Can we do it? Because we waited about 3 minutes, and it was going to cut it close because this group was getting about 26 when we were flying.
Yeah.
So we're 26 minutes. So if you people don't know, you got to get under 30 minutes. And so we go. And also I have in the back of my mind, it's like, is this going to ruin it? Is it going to glitch and not give me credit for it or some weird stuff? And I'm like, oh.
I have been in a run where that happened once.
Yeah, when that happens, you don't hear those stories. So we got down everything else, and everything was kind of gravy. And we finished it. We finished it at the end. We were at 29 minutes, 10 seconds.
Wow.
We got 50 seconds to spare.
That's pretty good.
That was crazy. We were hauling butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a pause like 3 minutes and to still stay under, that's wild.
Well, and this is one of the things is that they told me, because it's one of those things like when you don't know, like in a near-death experience or when something happens to you or something like that, you don't know how close you were
until
to
somebody
one thing
points it out.
Until points out, they're like, Maddie, I should compare it to near-death, it's like the whole other thing. So I apologize. But it was like one of those things that where they go, do you know, if we hadn't gotten that will down, he would have enraged and we wouldn't have gotten it if we hadn't gotten it down to that one phase. And I was like,
oh God. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it would have taken us about a minute to get him down.
Right.
Yeah. If you had enraged and like gone through and we wouldn't have done this, that's one will enragement if we hadn't gotten them all down perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah. No, it is. It's wild because that one has such a requirement for time.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of the other ones, like I I've joked that like we had some issues where we were there were a couple situations. Our IR, because both me and the other tank really had very minimal experience with IR other than beating it for our skin, and then it was kind of like my thing was I was like, that's my least favorite trials, so I just meh, whatever. And then it was like after we got GH, we're just like, let's get an Immortal Redeemer. I'm like, let's pump the brakes here. It's like I've got like 2 clears of this place on like on +2. And they're like, yeah, you'll be fine. And the other tank's like, bro, I have 1 clear. And they're like, you'll both be fine. We're like, we're the 2 like most important roles other than like the front kite. Like, I was like, what? We're so inexperienced. And everybody, because they were super chill in that group, was like, it's fine. You'll figure it out. You just give us your POVs. We'll show you. We'll tell you what you need to do. Again, one of the raid leads, which I was blown away that you can multitask that much. He actually was like, all right. He's like, I think you're, because I off tanked in IR, and I was like, I keep getting just barely clipped by these stupid lightning pieces of crap. I was like, I'm mostly out of it, but I was like, am I just not? And he was like, do me a favor. There's a thing on PlayStation called Share Play, and you can share your screen with another person. He was the interrupter and had my screen up in the corner of his wall playing, and he was like, take 1 step forward. All right, see that patch that's like lightly colored next to Olms's foot? He's like, stay 1 foot behind that. That'll help where you want to stand. I was like, how are you interrupting and looking at my screen right now? Like, what is happening? And that was the placement that I was like, oh,
that was
dude,
the thing.
And I kept going slightly forward, and he's like, no, just scoot a little bit that way. And you're literally watching somebody else play while we're like, no, I got interrupts. I'm good. Like, it's like, what the hell is happening? Like,
oh my gosh, that's so nuts.
But no.
So
yeah.
So I was all happy and like yes, and then everybody started leaving the dungeon, leaving the trial. Like, okay, we gotta do it again, and I'm like, we did this, and I'm like, how do I get my mount? I'm like, so how do I get my mount? What's going on? So like that. He said, oh no. He says you got to get the last achievements in there, which you probably don't have. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was it the portal thing?
Yeah, it's the portal. Everybody has to take a turn going down the portal. That was the last one.
Can't repeat anybody.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I know.
I was like, what? So I'm just like, this is a thing that's got to be in the brochure. They got to explain this better, because I thought you beat the thing, you get it, like the mount just pops up and you get like a notification ding.
Nope.
It's like, no. So talk about the most relaxed run, because it's on veteran, regular.
Once you go from hard
mode, that's like
mode,
a victory lap.
Yeah. Once you do something and it's like hard mode to just vet, you can juggle the entire way through, and you're like, I don't understand. Like, what? Why? Because you've become so fine-tuned to everything at the hardest difficulty that you scale it back, and and that's why I constantly try to bring up the fact that people oftentimes say, this is easy. Yeah. No, you got so good at it, it now is easy to you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that if you're at such a high tier for so long, a lot of times people forget what it's like to not be at that tier. So it's like, oh, you should be able to do that. It's easy. It's like, well, okay, you're excluding the however many hundreds of times you've done something or whatever that got you to the tier that you're at. Like, and that's where there's that disconnect.
Yeah, and there's that repetition and experience of taking things slow, and then you work on it. I mean, gosh, we've had Ninja in chat today, and it kind of reminded, he was explaining that just yesterday. This is when he was talking about all of the martial arts and stuff that he does.
Oh yeah,
it's that same type of thing where like you learn something at a slow way, and it's just the repetition and the work and all the stuff that you
becomes
put
second nature, and then you don't think about it, and you think about what you're doing. So
that's so then we went through there, and I got my I did my downstairs portal and everything, and we had fun doing that, and then got
your shiny mount,
of course. Almost got the old shiny mount, took lots of pictures and put up the title, which I still got, and made my character
If he got
look
his
good
Godzilla
and
that run too with you, right? Both of you got
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
there was 6. We had
it was
6
and
people
6.
that never had
Okay,
it.
so it was
it was
6 and
actually
6. Yeah, it wasn't like an 11-person team or anything like that. It was half a team
so
was on.
It was half a team. Yeah, so it's half a team about it. So like when people talk about with that sense, no, there are a lot of people that didn't have that in. So
No,
it's
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. So that was my huge big thing, and of course the first thing I do is just say, "Hey, Lotus."
Yeah, I know. That's why. Well, it was so funny because you're like, you have this, right? And I was like,
Right.
no, I do not. I was like, I don't have that. I ended up stepping down from my team when they went for it because I didn't have time to commit. And then they got it, which I'm super happy for them. But I'm just annoyed with myself because I don't have it. So now I've got the time for it. Well, sort of. Sleep is kind of not so much a thing for me at the moment while we prog that. But what do you call it? But yeah, that's the thing. It was just like, nah, I don't have that. That's so that's why it's like that is definitely like that is a big accomplishment. So I was really glad when I saw I knew you and Iffy from the group. So I was like, yes. So it was like, woo, those are the pictures I want to see. So
yeah, it really, like I said, it was having good group of people, nice people who joke around with each other, and so many people that just do it a lot. Those other 6 people and stuff in the group, and even some of the other ones, so that they just do. This is what they do. Right. This is, where other people will have every different facet of the game. I mean, they do this like I would relate it to like Jay Hart knowing how the trade system works.
Absolutely.
I don't know how
niche.
to do any of that.
Yeah.
You for every achievement. I mean,
just
gosh,
weird
I don't. I don't know how to get all that. You and Avron. Avron's getting like all those.
I know Avron's currently like, well, actually, even more so than me is Olabo, one of the other host for the ESO University one with Nephis. He's tapped 100% achievements.
Oh, really? All he is? Oh my gosh.
All he's got. I don't know if he still does, but I know for a fact he's had 100% at several points. So it's like when you try to figure some of those out, some of them are like weird, and a lot of times, like just like we said, sometimes doing that perfect run isn't for everybody. A lot of times, I joke that I was like collecting weird ass achievements. Some people I'll invite from like Terrifecta teams, and they're like, "What are you doing? Like, why would you guys do this?" And I was like, "Oh, just because I want to get this." They're like, "Oh, I don't care about that. It doesn't give me a title. I don't care." So it's just different interests for different people. Exactly.
And it was one of those things that was so great to get, because I know I worked so hard for it, and it and I felt very accomplished when I got it. And the dual side of it, and I love both sides of the teasing of it, which now it's now a thing that when I go with my tipsy trials, that we say Godslayer down.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was very proud when I said that to Pylon, and then it caught on where everybody just did it. I was like, I'm so glad that Pylon and I just started doing this. Like,
that was so it's become a thing. Every time it's like Godslayer down. Godslayer down.
Because the first thing is like when you died, I was like, quick, everybody panic, we're all doomed. Like,
we're all doomed.
It's all doomed. He was doing all the DPS. We're all just here to support him. Like we're doomed.
But it also gives you a little bit of, probably a lot in some cases, when like I've had new people join the stream and everything, and I remember I was, you get the happy, nice, go lucky and everything, and then I had to go to my house to go get something, and I just see in chat, it's like, oh, you've got Godslayer?
Yeah.
Because I had the mount was in my house, and they're just like, I was like, oh, congrats. I'm like, well, thank you. And it's almost kind of just like, oh, you can play. You're good. You can do stuff.
It's like you can do stuff. Yeah, and it's just it's what clicks with people. So
and it also kind of turned the corner of stuff. Where I'm starting to do more trials, even on normal, with the community and stuff, to try to get them in, because the step of being able to do these things is to have a nice experience, like in a normal thing, to show that it's not as scary of a situation, within it. Because a lot of us, we're introverts, we're nerdy, and we're scared a lot of times about things. And, to show, and they're so worried that someone's going to ask for DPS parts. They're going to ask for something like that.
Oh, if I
And they
screw
don't-
up, they're just going to kick me. And
they're
it's
going to
like-
kick you and everything. And it's like the really good groups don't do that. And anything for any of those kind of like builds or parses or anything, that's at the situation that we were very nerdy out. I love talking to you about this. It's like we're getting together. All we need is a couple of lobster rolls and we'd be all set.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And, that's at that very top, and you see why you need it. Why? Because it's you got a time element. You've got a thing that you got to get down.
Right.
You got to get a thing and stuff. But even with that, nobody was like criticizing anything. It was just like, okay, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that?
Because when the objective is to get the clear for the thing, you want to get all. Spoiler alert: nobody has one-manned Godslayer. You need 12 people. So you want your 11 teammates to be as good as they can be while you're as good as you can be. Like, you are a team so that you can accomplish the thing. And that's how these are designed. Now, then, as power creep happens, sometimes some people can do some wacky stuff. One of my favorite videos is the person who managed to get Mountain God by themselves. And I'm like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, what is happening? But at the same time, it's just like when you've got a team of people, you all need to work together in order to do the thing. Like, so you want your teammates to all be firing on all cylinders because that's how you're going to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
So,
so it's, and to give yourself that progression of improvement. I think that's kind of the thing is that nobody knows all things at all times and never never messes up. So I tell you, if you do find yourself, because you do find those groups, and sometimes early on in the thing, and if they pull you, they make fun of you, and leave that group because that's not a group you want to be with.
Right? Exactly. Find the and if that stuff's not on your page, like you said, leave that group. Find one that works for you. And oftentimes, if your mindset is like, I really want to practice and get this done, you'll find people who are like that. If you're super casual, I want to get this done, but I don't really care how long it takes. You find a group that's also on that same page. You can have the same end goal, but what you're interested in to get there can also be different. Which a lot of times it's like it doesn't come through quite at first because it's like if everybody else is coming in, giving it their all, doing all their reps and stuff like that to try to get as many pulls as possible so you keep making progress, and somebody is looking for excuses, well, I don't really want to run today. It's like, well, okay, that's not going to help. That's going to bring the whole team down. It's going to be a huge
You got to start thinking that team ways. Like if this is something you want to do,
right,
you've got to commit to it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it was late for me. Like I said, we were on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights for a few weeks, and we started at 11 o'clock at night. So like I'm taking a nap, I'm making sure I'm fed, I'm just like making sure that I'm ready to go. That I knew all my stuff. I told you all the parsing into skills and everything. And I've been working on, getting better at parsing for about 4 years. I was a healer main, prior to that. And so I've been really, really working, my butt off to get better, to do all that stuff in the train and to find out about these things and get into groups and find good ones. And so if there's a little bit on your end that you have to have the expectation for yourself too.
You just gotta have realistic expectations.
Yeah, you're just like, because the funny thing is like, I kind of got into teacher mode with that too, is that it's like when, because everybody would joke about it, just like, okay, I need to carry through now, Maddie. I'm just like, well,
my backpack cannot support that. Like,
it's like, well, we'd have to find, 10 other people other than you and me that, can do the stuff and start working and start thinking and give you a job to do and learn the fights. It's a long process. And again, if you don't want that, that's 100% okay.
Yeah,
you
totally
don't need
get that. Like, I totally get that.
But I wanted, I wanted that mount.
Right, you wanted that mount. You found the thing that you wanted, so that was your motivation.
Yeah.
But no, that's a really cool story. I'm glad you actually shared that with us because that was one of the things. It was like, you haven't been able to actually share it on the show.
That's true.
And I was excited for you and Iffy, so like I was like, I was like, what do you call it? But,
and it's actually, and the interesting thing, and kind of shows you where you have to just find a good team and put together a good team of work, is actually like your situation. We have a lot of wonderful players. I got my friends like Zuna and Jimmy and Jimmy and a bunch of other people who don't have it. and they're much better at I consider them much better at the game than I am and stuff. So it's all about being able to find that group, be able to progress as a group, and be able to get that get that thing done. And sometimes it's really, really, really hard to find that group and find that situation.
Yeah, so before we kind of move on, one thing to that point, some people when I group with some people, and it's whether I'm a fill or it's a new team that I'm running with or something like that, and sometimes I'm like, holy crap, some of the people I'm just like, dude, your rotation is ridiculous, or my god, you are wicked good at this, and there's a group that I'm in now, and they're one of the trial leads. Dude's a monster. Just with support sets, he's dropping 111k. I'm like, what is? How? I was like, I don't even understand.
Yeah. No.
He's doing a staggered Zen DK thing, and I'm like, what is happening? How are you producing these type of numbers? This is nonsense. But it was funny. Because one of the things he says in passing is, oh yeah, I don't know, blah blah blah, and somebody mentioned something about it. He's like, I still gotta get my purple skin. I'm like, come again? As I'm wearing my Griffinheart title next to him, I'm like, bro, you're just straight up better than me. I have the trifecta in there. You don't even have your skin. I was like, yeah. But it's all about that. He clearly just hasn't had a team. Yeah. It's not
a team that he could go.
It's not. He could easily get it with a group that he could work with, because it's dude, you're straight up better at this than I am. It's because they're not solo efforts; they're team efforts.
They're team efforts.
So
in there, you really have to kind of do it, and stuff, Because I used to think of just carry me. I'll just stand in a corner and just try not to die. Yeah, you guys do it. It's like no, unless you do your stuff, we're not going to get through this.
Ironically, more so now that they've done the pulling into instance in all scenarios.
Yes, very much so.
Before you could do illicit activities where you would just have somebody wait at the front gate while you do the rest of the thing. Now it pulls them into boss fights, so you can't do that.
Do all those things,
so that's a big thing. It's even less possible now than it ever was. You've got to be there to contribute. Which I personally think is pretty cool. I like that. I like that because I've said it before. I personally have no moral grudge against carries. It's fine, but I'm of the mindset. Well, you're essentially renting an all-star team to go in there with you. But, I mean, you're still tagging along. You were part of the team.
You were part of the team. You had to actually do some stuff,
But, exactly. But it's getting a skin by beating VMAL, for example. Oh, there's no trifecta in VMAL, but...
CR and stuff.
Exactly. Doing a clear is very different than you did a clear under time limit with nobody dying. It's that's a lot different than that. Yeah. And it's if you get a carry, quote unquote, and they got the trifecta, it's technically you didn't die. The team was good enough to get through all the time. That seems completely unfeasible. I'm sure it's probably happened, but whatever, you were still there. So I guess that's the thing that I never really have. I'm whatever. As long as you're at the controls doing you, you can say you didn't die. You might have been. Again, then maybe don't go around flexing how great you are at everybody.
Right. Yeah, that'd be the difference of you going with that person that you noticed was clearly just exceptional at the game, but you saying, "Oh, I've got this," so I'm much better than you.
Right, exactly. It's
that's the difference.
Thing. Yeah, because that's just it. It's if you get carried through something, they're well, now I'm going to lead my own GH team. It's okay.
When I finished, I was just okay, I feel comfortable in leading everybody through normal.
Right. This is because a dragon.
you could ask me what the tank. I've actually tanked all three on normal, but only because I know you can kind of just stand off there to the left. Outside of that, I don't know. I have any idea.
Exactly.
I'm all those extra things. I was just a kid with having the earmuffs. I'm just I'm just parsing away.
No.
Doing my thing. applying my Zens, just, and then finding the bush and then, walking around the edge and don't get cleaved. And, it's just like, I had a list of like maybe like 10 things I had to really focus on where like everybody else is doing all crap. I'm not going, the final dragon, I'm not going down to do this, to make sure that gets done. And,
Right.
and stuff. So, yeah. But, so that was free. Now, did you get your VAS +2?
Yes. So we got our. I joked that after I got Immortal Redeemer, a perfect example of this was there's 2 side achievements for +0 actually in there. One for never dismantling the 2 minis while fighting Lothus. And the other one is never letting the placid projections on, I believe it's Felms, enrage, like those red forms.
Oh.
Never let them enrage, and they enrage after like 30 seconds or something like that.
Okay.
You can only do those in +0 because like that's the only time you fight them. Like he doesn't have...
Right.
And then and ironically, I had actually only done VAS 0 or VAS 2. I had never even done +1s. I had no gauge. So, but I had only done, VAS 0 a couple times and then had gotten my skin in VAS 2 like once or twice. I think it was twice. I had been in runs. I had main tanked it and off tanked it once. And I was like, this is not a trial for me. Meh. And after we got Immortal Redeemer, I had every achievement in Clockwork City except the 2 VAS 0 achievements for doing the side bosses. And I was like, does anybody want to do this? And unanimously, the team was like, I don't even know what those are. I was like, who here has more than one Immortal Redeemer? And I think there were like 5 people. And I was like, you guys don't even know what these are. Like, you don't even know they exist. So it was funny because they're like, I was like, everybody was just like, I'd rather do. And I was like, that's fine. If you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. But I was like, so I ended up having that trial team that I've mentioned, a few times on the show. I found people who were interested. I was like, who wants to do VAS +0? If anybody needs gear, we'll beat the final boss too, so you can get some gear out of it or whatever. But I was like, I want to do the 2 side achievements. And I went in with the team, and most people were fine with it, but a couple people were like, what are we doing? I was like, just one of them, the tank pulls the ads away, and we just follow Lothus around when he teleports, and we beat the crap out of him until he dies. Just don't break any of these things. The other guy, squish them all together into a big glob and just hit everything with AoEs. And we got him in one try. Like, no, easy peasy, no problem. But it was just funny because it's like, I now own something that people who are far superior to me in VAS don't have because they don't care. Like, it's just not for them. That's not their interest. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, the raisin skin was
that was you had that on before me too.
I had
like,
that
I
one.
Get this stupid skin.
Yeah, that was the first one where I think I was just like, "Hey, do you have this?"
Yep.
Like, no, I don't have this.
I was like, I can't get through this place.
I can't. Oh my gosh! So a group needed a fill, like a group that had been together that gets like everything, and they're just like, "Well, explain all the way, man. No worries." And I'm just like, okay. And so I'm just like, so I do my thing, and then like we get to the end, and I wipe the entire group because I didn't know about standing in the 2 different sides.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I'd never been that far ever.
Right.
I didn't know that was a thing. And they're like, Maddie, and I'm just like, sorry, I didn't know that was a thing. She's like, okay, I'm gonna show you where you're gonna stand. You're gonna stand right here. I'm like, okay. And then we did it again, and then boom, 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 we did it, and I got it.
Yep.
That's how easy it was in there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I do not think I know how to do +2, and I don't think, over anybody else. That
Right. You just happen to be in a group that all sync together, and it was like,
I had never seen damage like that. I don't know if this group was like played forever with each other. Things melted that I'd never seen melt before, like skipping stages. I'm like, you can skip the stages?
So
I was like, what?
It's funny that you mentioned that because, like, one of the optimization type of things, and how, like, a lot of times it's like, oh, what's the meta? And it's like, well, it's oftentimes what's the meta for your group? What are you doing? And one of the things I was told, and some people chuckled because they, I guess, thought I was kidding. But when I off tank in VAS 2, which I don't like doing because I don't like running VAS 2, but if I ever need to off tank it for somebody or something, and it's what I was doing when we were working on IR, was I actually had you take off bracing anchor for the most part, which is a really, really good CP, but it slows you down when you're blocking, and nothing's really blockable to the off tank. In everything's just beating the crap out. You got to just avoid everything in there for the most part. But since the off tank has to run around so much to grab things, pull them in, hit your debuffs, hit your up times, get your bashes when the interrupter can't get an angle because sometimes they port weird. You got to make sure everything's pulled up on the things at the right time. And then when what's called kite, this is if anybody doesn't know Vet Asylum Sanctorum, there's like a lot of mechanics, so this might be a little overly convoluted, but there's these lightning waves that go, and you basically stay in lanes so that you can walk them back without blowing each other up. And the off tank basically gets a pass on that because you have to be doing 9 million things. So all lanes are your lanes is the joke. You pick a lane and everybody needs to learn where your lane is and adjust to it. And it was funny though, because to be the least invasive to everybody else's lanes, because it's not like they're not doing anything, I was like, I need to be faster. And the trial lead was like, oh, put on Swift jewelry. And I'm like, I've never heard of anybody using Swift jewelry on anything.
Swift jewelry.
I was like, isn't that kind of like a meme one? Like it's because like, when you look
you
at it,
craft it once when you're doing crafting, and that's about it.
I put on 2 rings of Swift, and I kept my infused on my necklace. That extra, what I think each piece is 7% or whatever.
I don't know. Yeah.
14% movement speed. I was literally able to start this kite phase, and I could cut around and into the group, and it would only drop 1 lightning thing by the time I was already there.
Really?
And then I could kite my own lane, so everybody knew they would have to dodge 1 lightning, and then the rest of them I would be in my proper lane off to the side. And I was like, I can't believe how efficient this is. He's like, dude, like, it's why I suggested it. He's like, it took me forever to figure that out. He's like, it just makes your life so much easier. I was like, I love this. But
yeah, that's it. Yeah, just amazing, you know.
Yeah,
I find it's lovely, and it's a privilege to meet these kind of people in the game that know these things so well.
Yes.
They're like, in this situation, put on a little bit of Swift stuff like that, you'll be fine.
Yep.
And it's just like
that little extra speed. I'm like, oh, that's clever.
It's just a clever little thing and stuff. And like anytime, that's why I kind of got excited about doing this, you know, the Kind's Aegis thing, because it's just like, okay, you're going to be using this ring? And I'm like, really? Okay, 40%? Yeah, am I? Okay. So, like, but just on the bosses, so you got to swap it out and do the thing. Like, okay, and everything. And try not to die. Try to do so. And also, and you know about this, there's different strats when you've got a group that can do a lot of the things.
Yes.
You can't do other ways. So like I've had like people like come into tipsy trials and they'll die because they're used to certain things happening at a certain time.
Perfect example. You know? When I had you guys literally explain to me how Twins works on PC, because it was so different from what I run on console. I'm like, why are we standing in this weird line thing? I'm like, what are we doing? And it took me a second, but I was like, what the hell? I literally had no clue what people were doing at first. I was like, why are we standing weird? And it's like,
oh, what was the other one too that you're like, we started here? Was it in CR that we did something? And it was like,
I think so.
It's like we never do it this way. We go for the totally other side or something.
Yeah, it's always like that with me, because it's just weird, because like how things adapt, I guess, based on console or whatever. Because like, I mean, there's obviously, and it's funny because I know several different ways to do twins. None of them were the way you guys were doing
the way that you're
like, I know like 3 ways to do this fight, and this isn't one of them. It's like, what's going on?
It's so funny how like strategies will develop, and when you're in a different box,
Right.
if you're in a different,
Exactly.
thing, it's just like, we do it this way, and that stuff. It's like, well, we got to do it this way, and a lot of it has because we get notified it through our add-ons or something like that.
Sure. But it's just like, no, it's funny when you just see that stuff, or it's
see that stuff going.
Yeah, or a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm waiting for this mechanic. It's like, nope, burnt past that. You're not going to see that. It's like, wait, what? It's like,
well, that was the thing with the I'm just like, oh, you can actually do that? And it's like, nobody has to go down this phase. What? It's
there's an achievement. Most people don't know how to get it. I guess we can close up after. I'll just say, so there's an achievement. Most people don't know about getting it again, but there is one. So when the ice boss, I don't remember their names. He's the last guy in +3 to show up. He's the one with the wind. Like he'll do the hoarfrost.
Yeah.
And he does that thing where he'll have a channel ability where he'll slam his sword on the ground. These like ice things will go off. You have to bash him. Right. Well, he also has this thing where he'll slam his sword into the ground and like this ice circle like bursts out from him when you're fighting him. And it's just this little AoE around him where ice shards come out. Most people don't know, and the only reason I do know is because I saw there was an achievement for it and we had to figure out how the hell it worked. If you drop the Hoarfrost next to him and he does those ice spikes will destroy the Hoarfrost and it's gone from the mechanic.
What?
If you do it 20 times, you get an achievement. It's not.
What?
Most people don't even know that's a thing. Like,
nope.
But a lot of people who will get
all.
that achievement will get it accidentally because sometimes it just happens.
Right.
But we learned how to force it when I was looking for that achievement. Same thing with the ads from down below in portals. They inch their way toward, and the Yagras come up, and you kill any Yagras that come up. If you can do 15 phases of that portal with none of them getting through there, you actually get an achievement for that. It's called the Yagran Blockade, and it's cumulative. It's one of those things. We found out about it, so we just ran it. We were just running it, and we just weren't pushing the boss, so we just kept triggering more portals and more portals and more portals.
You can just do it on normal, right?
Yeah. So we would just put down like Cinderstorm to slow them down, and they just go up, and it's like if you can chain them in, and it's like, but it's all these weird little things. Again, the game breadcrumb stuff. Well, a lot of times it's through the achievements. They'll show you how to do something. And it's like, oh, that's weird. I didn't know you could even do that. Like,
oh yeah. Well, did we even see what? Because were you on the run that we were walking through? CR, was that the same run that you were?
That sounds right. I mean, I remember it started because we had already been in Dumpster Fire V-Mall.
Right. That's right.
Actually, speaking of which, I was going to say Ninjas in the chat after we beat Twins. He was like, "Well, the hard part's over," and we proceeded to die on the big cats like 10 times.
That's nuts. Oh my gosh.
But we were pretty roasted, and we were like, let's do +2. And it's like,
I still remember hearing you and CR is just like, we can't beat it as a side boss.
We walked on the side boss. Like, we struggled on the side boss. I'm not sure +2 is in the cards.
2 is in the card. Because people say, what are we just doing +2?
It's like,
oh my gosh.
But
was it some of the mechanics are explained through the books? Jimmy was reading some of the books, and it's like, they're in there.
Yeah, they are.
If you read the books, the mechanics are in there.
It's very clever the way they show you stuff in game, which I've always thought is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I figure the only other thing I want to mention, because that was actually that was kind of a fun like back and forth tale segment.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to just shout out from the sister show, Elder Scrolls Lorecast, which I'm on with Robots each week. We're going through the Daedric Princes, and we have been doing them in order, but we kind of did a little pit stop, so to speak, and we covered some of Sheogorath. We'll do an involved Sheogorath where it's actually like the descriptor of everything on Elder Scrolls Lorecast, but we had the pleasure of Wes Johnson, the fantastic voice actor who, for anybody who does not know Wes Johnson, and he's the one running the charity that I had mentioned earlier in the show. He voices Hermaeus Mora. He voices Sheogorath, the Oblivion Guards, the Super Mutants from Fallout, Lucian LeChance, the famed Dark Brotherhood character that everybody loved from Oblivion. He is a fantastic dude. He is hilarious. And throughout the show, he joined us for the full episode to just kind of shoot the shit with him. And throughout the show, he actually jumped in and out of the voices for us of the different characters, which was great. He gave us some insight on how he kind of formed these characters, because we got to learn. I definitely suggest checking out Elder Scrolls Lorecast for the full interview. But like, some of the insight he gave us to it was fascinating, where it was like, these are the lines, but like Sheogorath being like pseudo-Scottish, that was him. Like, that was just, they didn't give him that direction. They were just like, here are your lines. This is kind of like his thing. What can you do with this? And he had mentioned that he was allowed to sit on that character a while before the recording session and like dwell on it. And he's like, and I crafted this character in my head. And he's like, they just let me run with it. Wow. And that's how we got some of these amazing characters, from Mora being my blatant favorite. And we go into a big thing on how he designed that voice. But like, yeah, I can't thank him enough for joining us. It's actually the first time I had ever been able to talk to Wes Johnson in person. So like, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I definitely recommend that interview over at Elder Scrolls Lorecast for anybody that's interested in that. Again, we're all on Robots Radio, so it's really easy to find this stuff. But yeah, I was super, super hyped. And if you are looking for him specifically in Elder Scrolls Online, the leader of Markarth, oh man, why can't I think of his name? The guy from the Markarth expansion, he leads in Markarth. Hold on, this is gonna drive me nuts if I don't know it. Markarth, ESO, what is his name? Aldcarrick, I think is how you pronounce that. My pronunciation is probably terrible and wrong, but yes, he actually came back to reprise that role as well. So if you're looking for Wes Johnson in game, that was his most recent role. But yeah, it was a great interview. Definitely recommend it, because it was a pleasure to record with him. And then even afterwards, we just got to chat for a while and talk about all that. And yeah, it's just, he gets so into his characters, and it's funny because like we joke that the devs play their game, and then we watch Rich on stream and Gina and everybody. We run dungeons with them on Tipsy Trials that you organize, type of thing. Mm-hmm. And very similar, Wes gave us some stories of situations where he was like, oh yeah, he's like, I can tell you about 400 hours into my Oblivion playthrough when I accidentally screwed up my save file and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that happened to you too? He's like, well, yeah, I didn't have any inside knowledge of how the game works. I just played it. Like, he was like, and then I made this terrible decision and got somebody killed I didn't want. And I was like, oh, crap. I'm like, that's so great. So he's another one that continues the trend of like, the company with Bethesda, it's just, they're so much more involved than other game companies. It's weird because it's so different from anything I've ever dealt with.
Yeah. And they've got their pulse on a lot of good things.
They do.
You know, and a lot of good connections from, like you said, the voice actors.
Yep.
And stuff. Like, we have the very famous, I'm allowed to say that for the one of the new companions.
Oh, I think, well, they did post that on the main website, so I don't think that would,
on Twitter and everything.
Yeah, I don't think that would classify as a spoiler. Just the voice actors behind
what I'll say behind one of the new companions.
Yeah, there you go.
Is Laura Bailey, who is one of my favorite people. I mean, I've hooked on Critical Role like a lot of people and stuff, and a lot of the games that she has voiced over the years, and just an excellent voice actor. And to have her as part of that. And there's another one that involves someone that's from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Are we able to say that?
They're sure. Pippin makes his way to Tamriel. Pippin makes
his way in there. Billy Boyd is in there. And that was on a Twitter.
That was on that. That's why it's like
I'm coming out of holding on to a lot of secrets for the last 6 months of my own stuff. I'm like, can I say this? Can I say that? And I don't know how they do it, the developers and stuff like that.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Especially when they, when you get yelled at for something or like that. It's just, I'm thinking about 2 years from now today. That was what I was working on.
And it's like, I can't respond to this because it's basically going to spoil something else. It's like, but I can't tell you why that's not the case.
The way over there. Yeah. Well, I had to throw a couple of curveballs out there to kind of just get people to know that it wasn't a face reveal, or not to think exactly that it was a face reveal.
Right. There's more to it. Exactly.
There's more to it and stuff. So I kind of and I had to because it's me and I always make sure that I okay things. I'm just like I had to okay it with like Rich and Gina. I'm just like I'm gonna make it sound like I know something that something's going to happen and everything like that. They're just like big collaboration with me and Zoss coming out of the thing. Well, technically it is,
right,
and stuff, but it's it's in a slight way of things,
right.
So it's yeah. So I'm like, they're supporting me through this endeavor. That's our connection with the thing.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, so I also want to know because I am, I'm Stream Team partner, so I do get, just like you, we got early access to like, certain things and, and stuff that we can't,
show
we couldn't
stuff,
talk
and
about.
That's why it's like sometimes it's awkward because I generally am just like, oh God, like I don't know what to do with all this information. I can't say anything. I was like, but I'm excited about this. I want to talk about the things.
I want to talk about the things and stuff, which is us being like that is exactly what they are like.
Right.
They're all the developers, all the people involved and everything like that. They're all to the voice actors, to everybody. They're just like, we want to share this. We want to do that. I mean, gosh, that video that probably, Billy Boyd or Laura Bailey made, that's probably from like a year ago.
Oh, I'm sure.
When they were voicing, and talking about the characters and stuff. And
I'm sure.
So it really is, So it's a special thing. It's a really special thing.
It is. It makes it kind of a unique environment to be in for gaming.
Yeah, it really does.
But if people wanted to continue to be in this unique sphere of gaming, you've been on the show before, but in case this is anybody's first time hearing / seeing Matygon, where would people find you?
Okay.
You're very elusive, clearly.
Very elusive, clearly. That's right. So the main thing is twitch.tv/Matygon. I have to read the thing. The thing. I'm always just like this. TV/ or Twitch. That's yeah. So Matygon on Twitch. And then I am Matygon is here on Twitter.
Which I still am very entertained by.
I do. And actually, I just went and got from my YouTube because again, Matygon was taken. I don't know how that is possible.
I'm I guess I just never looked at the name. I just clicked the cat.
And so I actually got. You can now have your name be in it. I don't know if I qualified or whatever that I can have my. So it is youtube.com/Matygon is here. So it's the same as my Twitter.
Yeah, it's the same as your Twitter. Yeah, because when everybody was nice enough to sub to mine when I started it, it was funny because my saga with Twitch was a disaster where I was Lotus OD for like ever, but there was no Lotus of Doom. They just wouldn't let me have it. And then suddenly they were just like, yeah, I guess. Like I was like, oh, great. Whereas like YouTube was cooperative. I was like, can I have Lotus of Doom? They're like, yeah, sure. I was like, what the
Yeah, somebody's got it as like, they have no videos and no things. Yep. It's just something, and, listen, I always kind of base my name off of like, the old Aragorn or anything like that or something or Aragon. And I was just like, oh, okay, Matygon.
Sure.
So back in the day, so somebody somewhere at some time had the same idea and nothing came of it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But definitely check out Matty. You've got some stuff, I assume. You stream very regularly, and I was going to say with all the High Isle hype and stuff like that, you'll be live this week giving away all sorts of good stuff. Get your drops in Matty's channel as well. It was obviously a pleasure having you joining us again, and for the first time on camera.
Yay! I know, I really liked it. I mean, it's been the best thing, especially for people that I've met like you and other people. And I didn't even think about this until Vidalia actually mentioned it in her stream. She says, I've always had an image of what Matty is behind the Khajiit. Because I know what he looks like and stuff and everything. And I had that with T and with other people and stuff in there. So it's like I said, it's really nice. It's almost kind of like a family reunion of it. It's like, all my friends I got to meet, something that can see me again with regularity and and go hang out, because like I feel like I've never left, even though we haven't been together or something like that. It's like, oh, I get to see Lotus at least once a week when he does his stuff,
and it's like, Yep.
So that's been really nice, and people have been very nice about it and supporting it, and so I'm very happy. It came off very well. I could
Good. I'm glad. I very much enjoyed all the build up to it as well. So
I really liked having that kind of thing, and I think it just hit just right.
Yep. And as always, I was going to say, as you know, this is not your first appearance. It should never be your last. So you'll have to come back and join us on Tales again soon. And
when I'm the lead bard director of ESO, is that the next?
I was going to say, the day we get bards in ESO is just, spoiler alert, it's just going to be Maddie hosting at that point, and I just assume we'll just be playing the trumpet the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
No dialogue.
I always say this is the secret words, of that I'm going out there to work on the bard. Is just like I'm taking a vacation to Maryland.
Well, yes. Well, I mean, to be fair, you were very close this year. You said bards, we got cards.
We got cards, one letter
off. One more year.
Oh my god. Oh, I've been joking like crazy. It's just like I have no basis of foundation. But we're in the main city is called Gonfalon. Matygon. I know.
Little by little, we're getting there.
Little by little. I'm chipping away at him.
Yep.
One of these days, they're going to give me a job. That's what
I'm. But yeah, so as for everybody else who is listening or joined us on the live show, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this fun episode. Nice long one again for everybody many of you who mentioned that you like having the exceedingly long episodes for car rides or to listen over many things. Since we weren't able to do an episode last week, this was kind of like a mix of guest/normal show and the Bethesda live stream update with Xbox. So figure we could flesh out the show a little better as a full episode rather than like just a weird kind of offshoot one that we would have probably had to do last time. But as for everything we do over at Tales of Tamriel podcast, you can follow us there. You can also find links to all of our social media and content. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/the UESP. If you want to help support the show, you can earn awesome Elder Scrolls themed rewards. You can also consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or why can't I think of the word? Because it's not actually in the notes. Spotify, that's the word I'm looking for. But 5 stars are great to help spread the word of the show. And that way, people will always know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes they matter. Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you all next time.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Seer it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magicka fused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to Chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.